Hey, what is up, my people? Nine Nerd Nation. We are live from the city planet of Trantor. I am with a very special guest. He is the Abraxas to my Selden, the Bantha to my drunk. Welcome, Alex.
Oh man, that was such a great introduction. Thank you so much for having me on, man. I'm so excited to talk about this show.
It is quite a show, quite a show.
It,
And you
it's a
know
weird one.
what? I've noticed that, well, since I've started YouTube, I
Mhm.
always have started a show like within its second or third or fourth season, even.
Right, yeah.
And we're continuing that trend. And with this show, Foundation, we're actually going to be going over two episodes tonight. The first two episodes have
That's right.
dropped on Apple TV. If you haven't watched it, check it out. I recommend checking it out all through season one through season two. But I would say that if you like sci fi, if you're a nerd
Mhm.
like me, like Alex, then you will have a treat because it comes from a place where think about like your Frank Herbert's Dune just being made.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
almost like Asimov's foundation is now just being brought into fruition because I don't think we've had the chance to live in a time where like those things could actually be elaborated in in any real sense on film or a TV show. Uh,
Yeah.
Deep cerebral concepts that are about to be coming your way. Alex, what do you think?
No, I feel the same way. Like I kind of came on into the show late. I've talked a little bit on like my channel about just like how Apple TV Plus sci-fi is like I was like, oh look, low key, Apple TV Plus is doing really great sci-fi right now, and Foundation
Yeah.
is in that category. Um, and yeah, I love how contemplative it is, and how like sort of Dooney it is, in that
Hmm.
sense that it's multiple planets, and I love the scale of how it's like, oh, it takes place
The
over
s-
centuries.
the scale is what gets me
Yeah, it's
because yeah, it is really, and it's something that you have to like pay attention to, right?
yeah, it's
You,
not like
you
something you can do like while you're washing the dishes. Like you have to
Yeah,
really pay
because you're
attention.
like, wait, hold on, are we 100 years in the future right now? Like, what the fuck just happened?
Right.
I don't know. Like, it is pretty intense. And that is on Apple TV. Uh, can we do first a little breakdown of the first season? Just kind of like doing
Yeah.
like a little bit of a introduction to what we have seen so far.
Yeah. The first season is pretty nuts. They've set up this like crazy fictional futuristic world, where the galaxy, I guess, is ran by this empire, which is this series of clones from this guy named Cleon, who had this idea of like, oh, what if I just clone myself in just basically three different generations? It's like
Mhm.
boomer,
Yeah.
millennial, Gen Z.
Right, right,
and we'll
right,
just
right. Yeah.
and we'll just keep this going for forever.
Okay.
And we just like all kind of advise each other, and we're also brothers, but also sons and fathers to each other. It's
And
interesting.
that's played by Lee
Lee
Pace,
Pace,
right?
yo,
He,
Lee.
so well, first I want to just like elaborate on that because it is a
Mhm.
galactic empire, right?
Yeah,
And they have decided that the one guy that has solved all of their problems at one time will just be the guy
right.
forever. And so they just clone him. And we've been living through this galactic empire with his clones taking succession. But there's always a rule of three. So
Right.
there's always a elder one that
Right.
is
It's
called Knight,
a dusk.
Brother Knight, Brother Dusk, right?
Yeah.
I almost got there. Um, Brother Day, who is Lee Pace's character, and he's the one that actually takes charge and like leads the empire. And
Right.
but then there is also Brother Dawn, who is the new one that will eventually become the day and then
Yeah.
the dusk. And so it's always someone that is like leading. Um, there's always someone teaching the other person. So that's how they transgress.
Yeah, yeah. It's really cool that that relationship. Yeah, like you said, they're all sort of mentoring each other, but also learning from each other. And we also have this 1,000-year-old robot who
Mhm.
is also advising them,
And that's
which
played by Laura Byrne,
relation to Laura Dern.
right?
Uh,
Yeah, no, yeah, not
but
Laura
yeah,
Dern,
she's
but
great.
Laura Byrne. I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly. Do not chop my head off. Okay, and because also in this world of Foundation, she's very unique because she is really the only anatomical like android robot that is able to like assist the uh uh she's the counsel to the brother
Mhm.
day brother night the
Right.
empire, right?
Yeah.
And apparently there has been a war against the machines, you could say.
Yeah.
A Butlerian jihad, if I'm going to reference Dune,
Yeah, I was about to say
where
it's
they
very
just
Dooney.
got, yeah, pretty Dooney, and they got rid of all of their animatrons
Mhm. And I like the
except
idea
for
that there's
her.
just one that's, yes, sticking around, and
Right.
you would imagine that maybe there are other, androids that are still out there, or animatrons, that are
Hmm.
still out there, but it's very interesting just that, like, she survived and she is being controlled by Empire, and their relationship in the 1st season is very interesting because you could see sort of in a data-esque way how she like grows in spirituality and emotionality, and just like becomes
Exactly.
more human while
Yeah.
also having to serve this sort of like morally subhuman character in
Hmm.
Empire.
Yeah. Because it is subhuman. They are taking the route that like this person, these clones are really just supposed to be the one person continually the legacy of
Hmm.
uh the first Cleon. And by season 2, we are at like Cleon the 17th or something. So
Yeah.
it spans a great amount of generations. And they have seen a lot of stuff. All of their
Hmm.
memories are implanted back to each other. So they know exactly what's going on. If one of them passes away, they have another one in like a little tank that can
Hmm.
just come
Right.
out.
Yeah.
It's nutty. It's
Yeah.
really nutty.
Like also honestly the concept of the Cleons is what like hooked me in the 1st season. I was like,
Yeah,
what's this
right,
now?
right.
This show takes place over centuries, you say?
Hmm.
And
It,
because like, the other characters do change, you still have that constant with Lee Pace's character, and also I guess with Gail's character, which I guess we'll get into later. Um, but just
mhm,
like even though we pass through centuries and some characters come and go, we still have those two
mhm.
characters that
And
we're
since they're
following.
clones, they're able to like pass on, like one of them dies and then another person that it's the same actor, right? Because
Right.
they're just going to be continuing that legacy. And it's a very interesting concept. But again, if you're not paying attention, you're be like,
Right.
what is going on
What just
here?
happened? Yeah.
Now, there is, and you would think that because the clones are leading this galactic empire, that that's what the foundation is. But no, the foundation is actually brought to us by someone named Harry Seldon, and that is played by a brilliant actor,
Love him.
Jared Harris. And I think you may have seen him in The Expanse before, but most notably, he's part of the Chernobyl crew.
Mhm.
He's
For
the
me, the first time I saw him was in Mr. Deeds. where he where he
Oh,
plays. I think he plays like Adam, or no, he plays Winona Ryder's boss
yeah.
at the news station or whatever.
Right, right, right. Okay. Mr. Deeds. I haven't watched that one in ever. Okay, so yeah, he was in a few episodes of The Expanse. I'm gonna have to go back
Yeah,
in
I'm just like, am I
hard to
remembering that
see
wrong? Oh yeah, okay,
Mr.
yeah, that was Mr.
Deeds.
Deeds.
Yep,
Yeah,
Mr. Deeds, 2002. Mac McGrath. Jesus. Yeah, so this, I mean, he's had a very expansive career, pun
yeah,
intended. And yeah, but his character is basically the scientist that has, or scientist mathematician that has been able to calculate the exponential differences of how the human species will go,
yeah,
starting with a conflict against the galactic empire, Dawn, Dusk, and the Cleons. Sounds so weird to say Cleons because it
yeah.
sounds
It
so
sounds so
close to
close.
Klingons.
Yeah, right.
So,
But
and
also, like
yeah.
Cleon just kind of sounds like like your old black cousin's names, like.
So you know my uncle Cleon,
Come on, yeah.
and his son Cleon the second, and then his other son
Leon the.
Cleon the third. Yeah, like that. That's how crazy this is. But Henry Seldon has like figured it out. Like he has literally a map of a four-dimensional prism
Mhm,
called Abraxas that
mhm.
he has been able to figure out all of these possibilities, and they lead to not only the galactic empire's destruction, but almost the destruction of all of the human species.
Yeah,
So he's putting that out there. A lot of people agree with him, but the Empire needs to silence him. So they give him an ultimatum. It's been kind of hazy since I've watched season one, so I'm like kind of just like
no, no, no.
going
You're
off
doing
of
a
memory
great
right
job.
now, right?
I just rewatched all of season one, and you're doing a great job because I don't think I would
Okay,
have been able
no, because season
to.
one appeared, came on
I think it's
2021,
2020.
2021.
Oh yeah, it's
So it's
2021.
been a
Yeah.
couple.
Mhm.
It's been definitely like a couple years plus
Yeah. Mhm.
since the first season started. I have not read the books. Shame me all you want. Have you read the books, Alex?
I have not read the books. I've heard things like from the YouTubers, like people who say it sucks that it's not as good as the books, and other people say that
Mm-hmm.
it's expanding on the ideas of the books.
Right.
So I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm better off not reading it, so not having that
Mm-hmm.
emotional attachment to it. Sometimes it's better to be a little removed, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I like before the movie came out, or before I even knew what the movie was going to come out, I read Dune, and
Mm,
then I heard the movie. I was like, "Oh my god, these are like my favorite books ever!" And then I heard that they're making a Dune movie, so it was just like, I was like, "Oh my god, this is like the best thing ever!" Right?
yeah.
But I'm glad that you haven't read the books because then that way you're not like, oh well, what the fuck are we doing here? You know, like you got to read the fucking books before you even talk. You know what I'm saying? You know what I
Right.
mean?
No, no, yeah, like
Like, you
it's
don't even like this show.
yeah, I feel like, yeah, depending on, I guess, the adaptation and I guess the temperament of the person watching,
Hmm.
reading the source material could be beneficial, or like it help or hurt your viewing
Right.
experience.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely enjoying
I'm
not
planning on it.
knowing anything.
If
Yeah.
I don't read the books, then I'm planning on at least listening to them. You
Hmm.
know, and it's great. I mean, I've read other pieces of Asimov.
Hmm.
The the like all of sci-fi dips within the three rules that Asimov has set up with um uh if robots dream of
Uh,
if androids
Alias
dream of electric
Electric
sheep,
Sheep. Yeah.
and so if you have the concept of like never hurt a human, to you can put yourself in harm's way to save a human, and then 3 something else or whatever. But what I'm getting at here is that this is deep sci-fi lore where
Yeah.
a lot of the concepts that we're familiar with today are it comes from a place, right?
Yeah.
And he's
Absolutely.
more of the forefather of
Yeah.
he is father Asimov is father Dusk of of
Of
sci-fi,
just sci-fi,
along
yeah.
with Frank Herbert.
Yeah.
Um and
Yeah,
it's really funny when we look at Star Wars, for instance,
yeah,
that
like
it
the
takes from Herbert.
mhm.
And yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, it just makes a very popcorny, like more accessible, I guess, version of it, less
Hmm.
cerebral version of all these ideas. Um, and yeah, it's pretty incredible that this show is able to, I guess, like delve into all these really crazy ideas, and you can tell. Like, I watched this video of from Quarter Crew, like they do um like
The CGI breakdowns or
yeah, the
what?
CGI breakdowns, yeah, and they
Hmm.
had David Goyer, the one of the showrunner, on recently for an episode, and he was talking about like
Oh,
one of
okay.
the special effects scenes, and he's like, I fucking hate this scene because, like he's like, it just doesn't look very practical, like, or it's not realistic, because
Which one?
it was a scene where Gail, like she went back to, was it Sacris, her home planet?
Synaxis, I
So,
think. If
yes,
you're watching
Naxos.
right now, drop it in the comments. Like and
Yes, please
subscribe.
do.
Please let us know.
Uh,
I'm pretty sure it's Synaxis, the water
yes,
planet.
Naxos. Yeah. Mhm. And she throws like the canister in the water, and the canister just turns into a canoe. And I thought it was
Mm,
spectacular. I thought it looked amazing. Especially like the
mm.
way the water reacts and everything. Like it's incredible. But David Goyer was like, but like when the canoe appears,
When
the
we say water
paddles.
planet, I mean water planet.
Right. Yeah.
Like it is
It is a
water.
water world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner would be right at home. But yeah, he was like like these paddles basically just appear out of nowhere on the
Mhm.
canoe. It was like one of those things you don't really notice because all this other stuff, cool stuff, is happening while the canoe gets built. But he's like,
Right, but like, why would the
"There-"
paddles
right,
already be on there? Right,
yeah.
right, right.
But I only say that
Wow.
just to say like they actually it separates this kind of stuff from Star Wars, where it's like just things just happen. You don't really need to explain it, but they actually want to be able to explain where everything
Hmm.
comes from.
Yeah. And that's the
But yeah.
difficulty with this show. And they do a tremendous job. And it's kind of the reason why it's on Apple TV.
Mhm.
Apple has more money than God. They're able to commit to those like big projects. The show is not that popular, but it's
It
still
really isn't.
getting the budget for a popular
Mhm.
show.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important to consider when you are watching it.
Mhm.
If it has lost you, then like try to stay in tune with more of the concepts. Um,
Mm.
we
But
are go ahead.
just sorry, just to say real quick, even though it does have a really good budget, it has like and I looked this up last year. It has like half the budget of House of the Dragon.
Oh, okay.
But it's funny, like even watching the Corridor Crew video, like you hear them talk about like, oh, we didn't really have the budget for this, so we decided to do this, or just like different tricks that they use to make things still look really good and take their
Hmm.
time to make things look really
Yeah.
really good, even though they don't have the money of the bigger shows. So it's just like
Hmm.
they really know how to stretch the dollar, even though obviously it costs a lot of money. You could you can
Hmm.
tell it's still a very expensive
You can
show.
tell that like yeah, you know, me and Alex aren't making this show anytime soon. You know what I mean? Like we're not editing anything like this
Yeah.
anytime soon. Um, so this is the representation of Abraxas, the
Mhm.
Henry Seldon equation, and that is actually going to be deciphered by a Gal Dornick, played by Lou LaBelle, and that's her real
She's
name.
incredible.
Sometimes I was like, real, I was like Lou LaBelle. That sounds like almost like a cartoon
Right.
character, almost,
Yeah, it's
right?
like a character
Um,
from Cowboy Bebop or something.
one of my favorite sci-fi characters
Mm,
of all time. She has been killing it on this show. Um, and she is a scientist born on the water planet of Synex. I really
mm,
should have like a location list for the show up, but
right.
or like a galactic map or something. And so she's a scientist that or like someone that's just been a prodigy of mathematics, and has kind of like went against her own planet's ways
Yeah.
to delve into the mathematics of the galactic empire around them. And I find that so interesting because it's just really like what we have experienced within the world, just like spread across a huge amount of space, like literally the galaxy. But uh,
Yeah,
uh
it's very much just like a, we see in different just like subsects of the world, or even just America, uh how religion or education is just not the same in different cultures. So it was her. Yeah, like, I agree. She's one of the most interesting characters in sci-fi that I've seen in a long time, and this
mhm.
actress is totally killing it.
um and can you pick up with, oh yeah, and again, I forgot even about this because born to a Spanish father and a
What?
Zimbabwean mother.
Oh shit! Shout out.
So, hey, listen, this is my person. We listen, January 18th, 1995. I'm a 1994 baby, born in Zimbabwe,
Oh
baby.
shit!
We are kin.
That is wild.
And honestly, hit me up, Lulabelle. Because she is,
Can
oh
I
my
buy
god,
you a
love
fish
her so much.
sandwich?
Right. You like fish, right? You from the water planet, right? Can I, hey girl, can I get you a water? But can you at least pick up from where I left off about
Mm,
like why it is that, so when Henry Selden got her to, he was trying to get her to look at the Abraxas equation.
right. Yeah, because it's like she is, like you said, she's this like mathematical prodigy, and she solves this Abraxas equation, and he basically, I guess, starts this, world intergalactic contest to see who can solve this equation, because he wants someone to be able to read this, I forget what they call it, not chaos theory, but the code that predicts
It
the
is
future
basically like
essentially.
the Abraxas equation, or yeah, it's basically
Right.
chaos
Yeah.
theory.
Yeah, he's like the human version
He
of
solved it.
the yeah, he's the human version of the Mission Impossible villain, like the new Mission
Hmm.
Impossible villain. But he it's, and this whole equation shows that there's going to be this fall of the empire, that's going to have, cause intergalactic turmoil for centuries. And he's like, there's no way to stop it really, but there's a way to slow it down. And the way that they're just talking about, like, the scale of centuries and centuries of uh, problems, I was like, wait, how are y'all gonna solve this? Because there's like a ticking time. Like, y'all are gonna be able to help so much.
Right.
The way they get around just like one character
Yeah.
being able to go centuries into the future is
And
really interesting.
so Abraxas is able to like kind of chart a path, but um it cannot account for individual, like you can't tell the future for like an individual or whatever. He can
Right,
kind of like tell a general path through how humanity will evolve through the coming ages.
right.
um
Yeah, it made me think of
and
that scene, that line from Men in Black where Tommy Lee Jones is like, a person is smart, but people are stupid. It's like it's easy
uh
to predict what a group of people are gonna do, but one
mm,
person is like, they're a
mm,
little less predictable.
right, exactly, exactly. um and she has been able to review Abraxas. She has this very prodigy, like-minded mathematical mind, and she is offered the chance to. Oh, wow!
Oh, hello.
The CEO Bill Y just saying hi. I hope you have watched this show. And thank you so much. This is the first donation we've ever gotten.
Oh, really?
Ever. Like, and I'm like, oh my god,
Oh, that's
there's a
incredible.
dollar amount to that comment. And
That's
it's
so
the first
kind.
comment. Like, we're not like performing to the masses here. So this is awesome. Thank you very much for joining in. And yeah, if you haven't watched the show, watch the show.
Yeah,
We'll
check it
be
out.
in touch. um Now I completely, like, I'm just like so hyped from like getting $2. Like, I'm like, $2. Oh my,
I'm $2 richer than I was yesterday.
$2? Not even just one. My Patreon's $1.
Plural dollars?
Yeah, go ahead. She's
Oh,
able
but
to follow, yeah.
yeah, she's
Go
able
ahead.
to solve the equation, and I think at this point, he tells her that yeah, this
Yes, real talk.
the we're about to hit, end up in this fall of the empire, but also we're gonna get arrested, and but it's gonna
Hmm.
be okay. But there is a lot of like political and um I guess military rigmarole, but eventually, like you mentioned earlier, the Empire uh, exiles Harry Seldon to the far reaches of the universe so they can test out their uh, Abraxas theory with this other civilization known as the Foundation.
Oh, what's up, bro? Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you,
Is
man.
that a homie?
Yeah. Yeah, it's only that's almost half a gallon of gas. Yo, I don't drive. I don't drive, so that's
But
go ahead.
oh yeah, but yeah, that's yeah, then like they get exiled to the far reaches of the universe, which was always a part of Harry Seldon's plan. And to start this new civilization, which is known as the Foundation. Um, but because there's a little love that happens on the ship, Harry Seldon's plans don't really work out like they're supposed to. So
And so she was meant to be the founding member of the foundation
mhm.
and keeping track of that, while her love interest, Rake, Rake,
Yes.
has been made
Exactly.
to he's been made to he was supposed to start a second foundation, and that's a little plot twist. Spoiler if you haven't watched the season, of course. We're going through a little bit of it.
Yeah.
And uh, 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 they kind of switch places because Rayek was, well, Henry Seldon always envisioned that he will be murdered,
Right. Yeah.
and they kind of switch places with our
A Gale.
gal Gale, and Gaal,
Yeah, Gale.
Gale, Guile. Guile. But he has, she was supposed to start the new foundation, and Rake
Right.
was supposed to start a second foundation. Rake ended up kind of sacrificing himself,
Mhm.
as in terms of like kind of save her from the grand equation, kind of like out of love, trying to put her out of this whole thing so she can just like live a life.
Right.
Meanwhile, because it's going to get trippy, dude. It's getting trippy right now. Like, I'm trying to think of the words right now. So when they get exiled to go to Foundation, they don't
Right.
have warp speed, so it's going to take them a long time to get there. She has an eggs, and she
Right.
fosters an embryo.
Right.
to other people or whatever, puts it in freezing.
And then
And
but they also mentioned that Rafe is like the dad, right?
he is, yeah.
Okay. So did do you have like a choice of who you're like
They
your
just like decided that like we're going to have an embryo, we're going to freeze it, and then whatever.
okay.
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. I'm pretty sure.
So is he just
Well,
like
what's the
father
other
in
thing?
name?
What would be the other thing?
Well, so who carried I mean, I'm assuming that, his like would you Sal
No, because it's already an embryo.
right.
So I would determine that like
Oh, right,
because
right,
it's
right.
not an egg, it's an
Right,
embryo.
right, right, right,
So
right.
it's
I'm thinking
already
I'm thinking
kind of
eggs. I'm
like
thinking eggs. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not like just so it's like they did the thing or whatever, and then she's
Right.
like, no, fuck, right now, pause on all of that baby stuff right now. But because Rick sent her out into space
Mhm.
back to her water planet, her embryo still went on to the foundation, which is a place called Terminus. Terminus.
Terminus, yes.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I
Great.
am
10 points.
surprising myself right now that I am remembering these names. But they do that. And so a whole new like just community of people are on this planet called Terminus, where there is a vault of information, the Abraxas equation completely realized with Henry Seldon's consciousness in it. I'm sorry, but it's like when I start speaking the words, I'm like, this is fucking
This is insane.
ludicrous. It is
Yeah.
so ludicrous. And I mean,
And
there's all these other things happening, right? So, um,
and it's
so
funny because like even like most of the things that we've talked about now has like been explained in like the first episode. Like they
yeah,
managed
like
to
the first
pack
few
in like
episodes,
Selvig
yeah.
and like the uh I think it doesn't even like the elevator, like the big space elevator, doesn't that fall in the
I
first
didn't even talk
episode?
about the space elevator, but that's the thing. If this was like a whole like first season one review, we would be
Right,
talking
right,
about
right, right.
the
Yeah,
space
yeah.
elevator,
But yeah, but
but
yeah,
because
sorry.
that is a crazy scene.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, but yeah, we do need to we'll be
yeah,
talking about season
leave
1 all
my
day.
recap. If you're watching this or listening to this on the recast on the repost and you're not catching us live right now, let us know if you want us to like go back and maybe explain some more things in season one that we glossed over. But we do need to actually get to season two, so I
Yeah,
still
yeah,
need to
sorry.
finish talking about. So that happens,
Right.
and I guess the most important thing is that that embryo ends up being donated to a loving mother and child, or
Mhm.
mother and father, and that embryo grows up and is part of the first generation of foundationers.
Right.
But she also has the okay. Explain the vault of like what the effects that the vault has on the foundation and why like they are not able to approach it, because I can't
Yeah.
right
So
now.
there from what I understand it, Harry Selvig or Selden
Hmm.
designed the vault
Harry
to
Dick
have uh d-
designed the
uh
balls.
10 comedy points. They like he designed like the vault to have like this perimeter basically just so no one would be able to approach it. But because Salvo, who is the daughter of Gale, who turns out Gale is a telepath, she has, I guess, just some sort of special immunity to
And I
the
want to like okay, define her telepathy then.
well,
Because not like I wouldn't even classify her as a telepath.
yeah, not even I only say telepath because they use the word in like I think episode 2 of season 2.
Right.
But yeah, she can predict stuff, which I don't think that she's fully tapped into her own telepathy. I mean, they kind of mentioned that she's still like learning the ways of the
I would say
whatever.
it's more of like a clairvoyance.
Yeah, okay, for sure. Because she
Hmm.
because she only sees it in the math a bit,
She can't read
essentially.
people's minds really, or something like
Right,
that.
right. But she can like we find out in later episodes that she can sort of like look into the future, like 150 years in the future, it turns out.
Hmm.
But it's and so because of Salvo's, I guess, like, she also has the mutant gene, so she can also has like some sort of
Mutant gene.
crazy telepathy powers, or she can bypass the null field, but also she can see the past. Like she sees a lot of things from Gail's past, that has like helped
Hmm.
her through her travels. So that's
Hmm.
what's going on with Salvo. Also,
Yeah.
she's cool. She's another really great actress in addition to this show. I
Oh
think that
yeah.
she's British.
So that is, let's see here. Let me back out of Mr. Deed's lore here. Pulled up. So that is going to be played by a Leah Harvey
Leah Harvey.
and Salvor Hardin, which
Salvo
is a
Harvey.
badass name.
It really is. Salvo.
Yeah. Leah Harvey plays Saldo Hardin. She's
Yeah, she
cool.
was.
She's bad. She's kick ass. And she can see your past. Um, but and she has the ability where everyone who gets close to the vault is not able to get close to it because there's like almost like you basically pass out and basically almost die if you approach
Yeah.
it, but she's able to get close to it, right?
Right.
And she figures that that's for a reason, for some reason.
Right.
And she's having these visions of the past that turn
Mhm.
out to be her biological mother's memories or
Right.
past.
Which is wild, and I think she also has some memories of Rafe as well.
Hmm.
Um, but then after like a whole bunch of stuff happens in the first season, at the after the vault opens up and Harry Seldon's consciousness comes and speaks to her, and speaks to everyone on the Foundation. He's like, "Hey guys, I'm God.
Yeah.
Just saying, you're doing
Yeah.
good.
Right.
Keep up
You're
the good
doing good.
work.
Keep it up, right?
I'll
Yeah.
be back in a little while."
Yeah.
And he's about to like fuck off, and then Salvo is like, "Yo, I'm
What the fuck?
I've been having some visions. Thank you for sending me the
Yeah.
visions." He's like, "Who are you? That's
Right.
curious that you're having these visions. All right,
Hmm.
bye." So she decides she's gonna go find her biological mother on Synax, and at the end
Hmm.
of the season, that's when they kind of have their little
They
meeting.
they finally meet up.
Yeah,
They finally meet up, and that's where the season stops for them.
yeah.
Meanwhile, on Trantor with the Galactic Emperors, they are um it's so crazy. But they are um dealing with the fact that the newest heir, who we would call Dawn,
Hmm.
is the Gen Z kid.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? This is all kind of weird. Like, I kind of want to be my own person, not part of the thing, not part of like this whole whatever.
Hmm.
And he meets like a flower girl, like a servant girl, and they
Right.
have a relationship. Turns out that that relationship is pretty bogus. She was working for people that wanted to infiltrate the empire to destroy the lineage. And but it was a double con because they knew that he was a bit corrupted,
Right. Yeah,
and
they could tell.
they could tell that, and it was like small details. So it's weird scenes where like they all just like gather, like when they eat dinner together, they all do the same motions, they
Hmm.
all eat in the same way, and it's choreographed. We come to find out, like they want to be as much as the same person as possible in
Right.
every sense of the word. So when he is picking up his glass with the left hand instead of the right, they're like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?" Like,
Yeah.
what are you do? That's
Right. He's like,
crazy,
this is
bro.
madness. Yeah.
Yeah, like stop that. And it's so crazy. But
Which just,
so
yeah, like
that's
it just
when
speaks to like so much like how interesting those characters are, which is
yeah.
like
Hmm.
Cleon in and of itself, that whole series of lineage is interesting, but just like the idea that one of them might be different, and what are
Hmm.
the psychological stakes of that? And like
Exactly.
it's like because they have a whole group of them waiting in the ranks
Right
just to
there.
like
And the
take you
original
out.
one in like cryopreservation.
So weird.
It
Yeah.
is so crazy.
Cleon the fourth or
So
whatever.
in the in the first season, we are on Cleon the 13th, I think is day,
Hmm.
but in the so think about like 13 generations of people, but they're all meant to be the same person.
Yeah.
And it gets pretty nutty when you think about it that way. When obviously they have this intense lineage, one person acts out of line, then that's a problem.
Right.
So um
And you can
and
see
it
like and
becomes
because like society changes, you can see how it's so like inevitable that
mhm,
things are going to go wrong. Like Harry Seldon said, it's like I think
yeah.
he said the same grape destined for the same bottle or something like that. It's like
Mhm,
at some point like we all change, we evolve as society. You can't have this like literally the same person ruling
mhm.
forever.
And
Uh
I kind of want to draw attention to this because something I noticed when I was watching today is that when you look at the cast, everybody, including like our girls, are so like ethnically ambiguous
mhm.
because it's like the future, right? Like
Yeah.
what would someone from planet Sinex actually look like, or
Right.
so they're
Yeah.
kind of like a little bit like, oh yeah, that's when you get Lula Bell, who is fucking goddamn
Yeah,
Spanish
South
and
African Spanish.
Zimbabwean,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm
or
like, and
yeah.
I can't tell when I'm usually like, oh yeah, that person is like definitely, they got some right.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I like
Right,
almost
yeah,
like
it's
to
like
tell like by their names. Usually, I'm able to tell like
right.
that's a Zimbabwean name, like that's a Shona name. But
Yeah,
with this cast, the only people that are not ethnically ambiguous are really Selden, right?
yeah,
And then
and Lee
especially
Pace.
the Lee Pace, who is the person that has ruled
Mhm.
for countless generations, and then also their
Oh, yeah, the
android
right,
that
which would
has
make
its
sense.
that it would make sense that these are
Yeah.
the characters that are not that are just like white, like
Yeah, I didn't
actually
even
just
think about
white.
that.
I was thinking
Yeah.
about that earlier. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool with the casting.
Yeah, that's
I
actually yeah,
like
that's
that.
pretty thoughtful casting, yeah. But
Yeah.
I will say that I thought that Lee Pace was British for a really long time, like following his
Oh yeah.
career.
Yeah, me
But he's
too.
apparently from Austin, Texas.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Bro, he's like Blake's cousin.
Yeah, right.
He's
So
our
it's
usual host's cousin. Um,
we can probably get him for the show.
oh, he's Ronan.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. He's very
He's
underused
Ronan.
in
Yeah, he
in
should have been a better villain, but like, yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you've seen um Guardians of the Galaxy, uh, of course he's in like blue makeup, but you can kind of like get the sense of like the pompousness in the character of Ronan to the Galactic Empire
yeah,
day. He really wants that control, that power. He's trying to lead the Galactic Empire. And to note that, like, even though that Dusk is the older one, he's more just an advisor to Day and Dawn.
right.
And
Yeah.
Day is actually the middle one, the millennial is actually the one that is uh charting the course and like
Right.
leading the empire
Yeah,
at the
it's
time.
yeah. It's very
Uh,
calculated relationship here. It's like, yeah, Dusk is
mhm,
always the lame duck who's like on his way out but counseling.
mhm,
But the Dawn is always learning from like
mhm,
whether it be the android or from Dawn or sorry, Day or
mhm.
Dusk. Yeah, it's all makes
And
it makes sense, but it's even though it's creepy as shit.
it does make sense. And now that I'm thinking about it, like it makes even more sense because how do you keep that all in line? How do you keep them all in one person? Her
Hmm.
character, Laura Byrne, because she's an android, she has been the assistant to every single um you know
Right.
four child or
Hmm.
whatever
All the
Cleon,
Cleons. Yeah.
all the Cleons since ever. So
Yeah.
she's kind of like the anchor point. I know exactly all of your past selves. I've experienced them or whatever, right?
Yeah, and since you can program her to not have like any moral scruples about anything, she could just
Mhm.
always do the same thing
Mhm.
over and over. Like the only way this would work is if you had an android, uh,
Yeah, that's
basically
able to
making
like
sure that
anchor like all of them.
yeah,
So we're only catching these galactic emperors see in um turmoil because of the fact that infiltrators have managed to alter the genetic code of the
right,
clones.
yeah,
So they're not the same person anymore. And they get in their feelings of like, yeah, what who am I really?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
and
am I I don't feel like I'm one soul. I feel like I'm a soul in a line of souls.
mhm,
And that little distinction becomes such a cosmic cosmically important aspect of the show.
mhm,
Because like me and you, Alex, we could be like, oh yeah, we know that we're different souls,
right,
right? Like, let's say that like we were literally clones of each other, like not even just twins, literally
yeah,
the exact replica of each other. Uh, are we having this conversation like truly, or are we just talking to ourselves? And
right,
that little deviation of like, oh, I'm talking for myself. This person is talking for his own person,
yeah,
where
right, yeah,
everyone else down the line has been like, I'm talking to myself.
yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, right. Yeah, like
Is
I was
that and
talking
that distinction is so
it's
important. Like
yeah,
it's crazy.
and
It's
yeah, just
crazy.
and the awareness of that distinction because like it seems like
Hmm.
yeah, I guess whatever maybe they're all trained to just not think about that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But it is interesting, even like in the newer episodes, having like the brother, I think it was the brother Day character. Oh man, I lost the thread of what I was thinking.
Well, we're going to get into that for the season two.
But
I think
yeah,
that
yes,
wraps up all of the like basicness of season one, and that took what like 40 minutes. So we are at the 49-minute mark, and now we can finally get to season two,
season
and
two.
we are picking up with
I think it's
okay, so it's
138 years.
138 years from when we started.
Right.
Uh and it is very okay, so we're just gonna do this. We pick up on season one, episode two, and
Great.
this is Henry Selden. He's in the void, he's in the Abraxas. He has put his consciousness in the Abraxas.
Right.
Well, one is in what is called like the prime what?
The prime derivative or the prime
Yeah,
radiant. The prime radiant.
prime. It literally it okay, so the prime radiant, as ridiculous as it sounds, looks like this. And it
It really
literally looks
does.
like this. And how you activate it is by like going like this and like and then like the whole thing like sprouts out of this and you like able to see the equations or whatever.
Yeah.
And okay, whatever,
2
it's future
taps,
technology
2 taps, a
where
flip,
you
and a
yeah, exactly. It's like, is anyone so Henry Selden is in this right now.
Mm.
However, there is also a Selden that is on a consciousness of himself that is on uh Termian. Turnum.
Uh, uh,
I
um,
said the word
Terminus?
Terminus.
Yeah.
There's a consciousness of him in the vault on Terminus.
Right.
And uh right now we're looking at the one that is in the prime meridian, prime whatever. And
Radiant, yeah.
in the prime Rubik's cube for the rest of the show. That's what the prime
Prime
rubric.
Rubik's Cube.
And he is conscious this whole time that Gal and her older daughter, I should say, is I'm sorry, folks. I thought I would be able to like put the words together, but like, okay. There's no very succinct way that you can even possibly think that I can say this, but if you watch the show, you
It's
get what I'm saying. If you're a new
yeah.
watcher, I am so fucking sorry. But they have him trapped in here and he's
Yeah.
experiencing this consciousness in like a void this whole time, like 130 years. It is crazy. And he's
Sounds
like so
terrible.
mad at himself because he's like, "Oh, I fucked up. I should have like at least told someone, right?"
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's
then we pick. Oh, go ahead.
oh, just to say, like, I just more about like the visuals of this show and just like how they can really stretch a dollar. Like the scenes of
Hmm.
him going crazy in that space were really dope. Like I think there was like a scene where he's just like tiptoeing his way out of a thing. They must
Yeah,
have had like some sort of rig where they were like moving the whole set or something because like it
yeah,
goes from like the gravity of the space
yeah.
changes. I was like, God,
Hmm.
this looks incredible. And I'm very
Hmm.
sad for this man right now.
Gods made wine to compensate those who cannot afford revenge, and
Wow.
I do exactly. I wanted to touch on that too, just because like every single episode ends with a crazy or begins actually I should say begins with a Jesus Christ, MBB. It begins with a
Relentless.
phenomenal like little quote from
Oh, yeah,
Gail.
Gail. Yeah, yeah. She's a great
It just
narrator.
says
Yeah.
like some crazy things, and it's like always so um it's always just so awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, it's
Uh
always on point. Yeah.
Always on point. And I think even if I'm going to go back to this, okay, so I'm gonna just play this clip here. Oh, I have it muted.
Cannot afford revenge. The gods made knives to satisfy those who can't digest regret.
Okay, so this is coming out from Selden. The gods made knives to satisfy those who can't digest your grandest plan.
Sh
So this is the
Harry spitting.
mindset of someone that has like had this great equation for how the world would work, and um, he is feeling pretty arrogant about himself
Mhm.
with that quote because he's like, "Oh, they attack me because they don't understand me." You know,
Yeah.
it's very like
They
almost
hate
like
us because they ain't
Kanye
us
West,
vibes,
right?
yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like they don't understand my greatness.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, Harry's a pretty complex character in that sense. He
mhm,
definitely is arrogant. Uh
mhm.
but yeah, like
Think
also
think about Rick from Rick and Morty, but like this is where they derived it from. Like Rick
Yeah, right.
from the good doctor from uh Rick is a combination of Harry Seldon and then the good doctor from Marty McFly.
Oh, yeah. Wait.
Motherfucking yeah, I feel embarrassed right
Um,
now. But you
Christopher
know what we're
Lloyd.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But like that's kind of like, the complexity of where, how far the media or the that character has transpired throughout like media.
right.
Um and then
Yeah,
we pick
it's
up
funny. Like,
Mhm.
just like in that same sense, I remember watching like I think it was an episode of Book of Boba Fett, and they were talking about
Mhm.
spice, and it was like
Mm,
right after Dune came out. And it's like
right.
if you're not aware, you might think that like it's like, oh, Dune stole like the spice idea from Star Wars. It's
Exactly.
like, no, that's not
No, no,
exactly
no,
how.
no, sir. No, sir.
I
They're
know
selling
this.
drugs over there. This is like a very important thing. Like,
Yeah,
we spend chapters and chapters around the spice, and it's literally I can't even call it a MacGuffin because it's such a important piece of world building within the Dune universe. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, but then we pick up where we left off on season 2, and this is where Gail's daughter, that is technically older than her,
yeah.
actually meets Gail.
Super weird.
Uh,
Name is Salvor Hardin. I'm your daughter. I don't have.
yeah, I don't have a fucking daughter. What are you talking about?
It's like I would have remembered that.
Yeah, like, yeah. There's no like, I'm the father test
Right.
for woman.
Yeah,
There's
it's
no
not.
I'm the mother test. Like you know,
Yeah, it's like I would have
as a
remembered
right as a guy,
past.
you could be like, I don't have any children that I know of, right?
Right.
But if
Yeah.
a woman said that, I don't have any children that I remember, like you would be like, wait, what?
It's like we.
how does how does that how
It's
does that
really is
happen?
a progressive time when women can also have illegitimate children
Right,
running
yeah.
around
That's how
out
we
there.
know that we're really in the future now.
Yeah,
That's like
it's equality.
right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have a daughter. Are you Gail Dornick? Then I've got an update about a certain embryo you may or may not remember donating.
Oh, gods.
She's like, fuck. I just woke up. I've been asleep for 100 years and this is what you hit me with? I got kids
Oh
that are
man,
older than me?
that's got
It
honestly
is,
that's a softball for after staying asleep for 100+ years. Is that you wake up,
yeah.
you got a kid. It's like, oh, okay,
It's like,
that's not but that's not so
yeah,
crazy.
it's not so crazy.
Or like, do you have a kid that's actually
And
alive?
she's
That's
very
pretty
confused
crazy.
because they were both in cryosleep. So
Right.
while so 100 years has 100 years at least has passed for
Hmm.
both of them at this point. So that's why she's like, even if I had a kid when I was alive, that kid would be long gone
Right.
by now, right? But they both went into cryosleep when they arrived at Sinex. Um, and they both slept their way into the future.
Really
Um,
cool way of keeping these characters like through multiple seasons, just like cryo sleep.
yeah, exactly.
We'll meet you in the next
Ha-
season.
have you watched or have you read the book, The Three Body Problem? Have you read the Three Body Problem series?
No. Mm-mm.
I
I'm also a bad.
definitely recommend you
I
do.
bought it. No, I have it, but
You
I'm like my house looks like third act of Page Master, where it's just like books everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's a bunch of books that I bought and I want to read, but I haven't gotten to yet.
That's that. We got the trailer for Three Body Problem on Netflix, and that's coming up. I highly recommend you reading through that. That's actually even right now above Dune for me
Oh
as
shit.
the best science fiction I've ever read in my fucking life.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
recommend. And again, it's one of those things. If you're not going to read it, then just listen to it because I
I really need to get
do
on
both.
audiobooks. Yeah.
It literally like I would listen to the thing and then I would like, oh, I'm gonna go back and read this part again because it is hard speculative fiction and it is so good. It is
Oof.
really good.
Okay. Yeah.
I definitely recommend it.
I need to grab that.
Biologically older than you, I'd wager.
So yeah, she's
So,
older than
Hardin.
her,
Mhm.
Salvor Hardin. And she's like,
Maury
oh,
Hardin.
I remember the people that I donated that were on the ship with me.
Right.
Raised me.
And it's like, okay, so these people raised you. And it's just like really interesting.
Yeah. Really,
Um,
really, really smart writing and just the way that they tie everything together in that way. Just the way to bring these two really cool characters together. Because like at the beginning of the first season, like you don't expect these characters to ever meet each other because like they are telling these two different timelines. It's like, well, I mean, they're obviously telling this from two different sides of like time.
mhm.
But yeah, the fact that they found a way to bring these two characters together, and it all
It's
makes sense.
phenomenal.
It's
It's
incredible. It's
phenomenal.
incredible. And yeah, it's, I guess a little teaser for later, but yeah, they might be going on another
Oh, they
cryo
got
time
some
jump.
adventures going on. And I do want to talk about like when it gets a little weird. How much time you got, buddy?
I'm good, man. Yeah, I
Okay,
got all the
all
time in
right.
the
This
world.
is going to be a long cast. This is going to be a little bit of a long one. So
I'm
we'll
down.
be. You got a drink? I got like something in my cup
Yeah,
right here.
I poured myself a really big one because I was like,
Oh,
yeah.
that might be reversed in the camera,
Oh
but it
no,
says
I see it.
inhale,
Inhale,
exhale.
exhale. Yeah, I
Yeah,
see it.
right there.
I got
So
my
take a
I
deep
got
breath.
my Batman mug.
Good stuff. Good stuff. But here's the dope kind of like quote from
As
we
waters
got on this
rise,
episode.
territories shrink. That's what happened on Synax. And that's what happened with Empire. Day by day, decade by decade, the First Foundation nibbled away planets from edges of Empire. And Empire steadily contracted.
Okay, so what is happening is the Abraxas is coming true,
Mm-hmm.
and this has been like we've seen it coming. We've seen like the attacks on the Empire
Mm-hmm.
all throughout, and all the Empire really wanted to do from Harry Seldon is that they wanted to know how to slow it. Is there any way we can game the system? We can
Right.
work it. The only conclusion is that they need to end the genetic dynasty.
Right.
Right?
It's like, fuck all
You
that.
guys
What else you
are a
got?
bunch of inbred freaks. Fuck off. Go somewhere else. And then
Yeah.
this will stop. And they're like, nah.
I
We
really
kind of
like
like
how
it.
things are going on. Yeah.
Yeah, we like all of this stuff. And the quote continues beautiful. Oh, but I don't want to do that. But
And Empire steadily contracted.
we go to a scene. This is kind of so you could see all of the memoriams of
Mhm.
all of the different
The
Cleons that
Cleons.
have gone throughout the halls here. Super epic here. And we get through another attack or assassination attempt on uh the good emperor Day. Day
Dope fight
Cleon.
scene, by the way. Like,
It is a really dope if he wasn't like naked and there's like crazy shit going on there, then I would be
right.
playing it.
I did.
Empire has received a blast.
And then even this is like, if you look, it's a bantha tank.
Wait, what? Oh, it
It's
is.
a
Oh, yeah,
bantha
Bapta
tank.
tank. Bapta tank. Yeah.
Bantha tank. Yeah, not
It,
bantha, but bantha. Yeah.
yeah, it
What were
totally
you gonna
is.
say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that apparently Lee Pace did all of the stunts in that fight scene. Like there were no
Oh,
stuntmen.
yeah.
He like he
It
committed
looks
to
good.
having it. Yeah.
It's a good fight scene because they do some stuff without any quick cuts or anything like that, and yeah, it works out. It works out.
Yeah.
Um,
If y'all want to see a fully naked dude have a fight,
yeah.
it was a pretty
You don't
impressive fight.
see
Like
you don't see any Wang flopping around or whatever,
no,
but
no,
yeah.
it's tasteful. It's tasteful nakedness.
Yeah. It's not the idol fight scene. But all right.
Shot to his
So,
left deltoid and penetrating thoracic trauma. A nanotoxin was delivered via molecular blade. We have 12 seconds before edema leads to brainstem death. Give it to me.
oh, I wish I would have caught that. But I'll find the part where she is like,
Oh yeah.
it's because I really want you guys to see like this android.
So rad. Like the what they do with the special effects with
Mhm.
that character.
So she's got like half a face here. Also, like and subscribe if you're watching right now.
Like
but
and subscribe.
like click that like button and you won't end up like her. But yeah, she is he finishes the battle, right? And she drops
If he
him off
asks, tell him I needed mending.
so and she's like messed up, and it's like her consciousness is decentralized, so like a chop off to the head does not
Right.
completely destroy her. She's just kind of like messed up.
Yeah, it was a cool design of just like having it like right across the face like that, and also the just like the digitalization of like her voice when she was saying, is she still like very prim and proper because I guess this is like her programming. So she was like, I will please tell Empire when he wakes up that he can find me in the study or whatever.
Right.
It's like, but it's like you have half a face, and but it's like really well performed by Laura Byrne,
Yeah.
aka Laura Dern's sister, who she's doing
Right.
doing a really great job.
And where's the so Selden at this point is able to and this is like where this show's kind of like getting to me right now, where I'm like, oh, there's so many different moving pieces because Selden's consciousness is also back on Terminus and on
Right.
the vault. He hasn't appeared in about 100 years,
Right.
or a little bit, maybe a little less.
Oh no, I think it was
It's in the-
130 something years they said.
Right.
But
Well,
it's
how's
also that
one
doesn't really
guy
make
still
sense. Yeah.
alive then? So I'm like, what's going on here? Unless he was like kind of lying about it. So the vault
the vault.
opens up, and that is the vault. And you might see this iconography when Foundation is talked about. This vault on Terminus is where the equation, the Abraxas, is being held, and whenever he like steps out, the people that have gathered around there, again, it's been hundreds of years of people like kind of dedicating their lives to being a part of this movement, the foundation.
Right.
And they have lived and died and haven't seen him since, right? Remind you
Yeah.
of anyone? Jesus Christ. But
Where you at, J-Dog?
right. So, but like
Yeah.
on a way crazier time scale, because if we were like,
Mm.
oh yeah, Jesus is going to come back every couple hundred years, and we know that,
Right.
that
Yeah.
would be fucking crazy. Like, it's so crazy. Like, to think about
It's
like how these people are like very they're zealots. They're zealots for this science and their
yeah.
math.
Yeah,
It's
it's like
really interesting.
a religion around this mathematician, which is so
Mhm.
bananas. Like, this scientist who was so like prophetic, uh
Mhm.
which I really liked. There's like a little line where someone is like, I am, it's like, I worship the prophet, is like, oh, how are you spelling that?
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
That was a really great line.
Yeah.
um
I love that, dude. We'll get to that in just a little bit, too.
yeah,
Um,
but yeah.
so, uh, but since season 1, it has changed. The first people there that have gotten there have there's been a commingling, right? So like
Mhm.
they're at the outer edges of the galaxy, the outer rim of Star Wars, basically,
Right.
where it's
Yeah.
more lawless, it's more criminal. There's more shady things going on that the
Yeah.
Emperor is not being really focusing on.
Mhm.
And they managed to cloak themselves. There's a plot line in season 1 where they managed to cloak themselves, kind of like make it appear like all of the life was devoid for this solar system,
Right.
whatever.
They had like a supernova or something went off or something like
Yeah, like they're able to fake a supernova, which is in itself a crazy sentence.
that.
Right?
Right.
But like it actually
Yeah.
makes sense with where like how
Absolutely.
they explain it, and
It's
that's
just like a very smart idea. It's
so
like,
cool.
who
It's
thinks,
so
oh, you know
cool.
what? Let's fake a supernova. That'll help. Like,
That's the
that's just like,
thing. The show is so cool.
yeah.
Like it is really cool with its ideas, and um when I look at a show like this, I understand why people don't like it. And a lot of the criticism
For
is like,
sure.
oh, it's a little show. It's like it's a little like not my style or whatever.
Hmm.
And like I'm like, I get that. But if you do like sci-fi, if you're really interested in like kind of like these pie in the sky ideas, like the speculative fiction of how things
Right.
are gonna get, this show is going to be it's gonna stick with you.
For
It's gonna
sure.
stick with you.
For sure. It's like very much like kind of like Raised by Wolves. Like that show kind of came and went.
Exactly.
It was very contemplative, but
Mhm.
unfortunately, I don't think they had the sort of like backing, because they probably had like same viewing numbers as this
Then
does.
the same thing with Westworld. HBO took that Westworld and Raised by Wolves off their platform. Like you
Which
can't even watch those shows on HBO or anywhere anymore.
anywhere,
So
it's bananas.
yeah.
So
So for like
it's good to
hard
see,
sci-fi
like,
fans, yeah,
yeah. I now need to
this
watch
is
Invasion, because apparently Apple TV Plus is just making nothing but good sci-fi
yeah.
shows.
Yeah, I haven't watched Invasion just because I was like, I don't know if I want to get into that right now, but um yeah, again, For All Mankind is
Oh yeah, For
also
All
like
Mankind
a
is great.
pretty interesting, like I can't even call it sci-fi, but it kind of is. It's more like alternate universe kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
But
hard. Yeah, yeah.
it's pretty interesting. But with this, yeah, so we have our zealots here, but they've over time they've mingled and kind of developed in a more uh military state than what they've started at.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah. I think someone at some point even says like, "Oh, this is almost kind of like Trantor."
mm, exactly. Um, so we have Harry Seldon. He's having kind of like visions of people that helped him create Abraxas, and that is his wife. That is an older scientist poet that
Right.
was able to fold within um or figured out how to fold dimensions and unfold dimensions to a way that he was able to understand. We get this cool scene. I'm not going to go back to it, but yeah, a flashback when he was a child where he was able to, like, his mom saw him like working out in his head that when you cast a shadow of something, it becomes a 2D object,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh yeah, good, good on you." And she's
Right.
like the inspiration of his scientific mind. And I was like, that's such a cool way of,
Yeah. It,
describing like how someone fosters their scientific intellectualism.
yeah, it's wonderful because it does those two things. Like it does that, and also just I don't know if you've ever seen just like a kid learn something. It's just so awesome.
Hmm.
It's like,
Hmm.
oh, you just learned how that works. That's
Yeah,
cute. Let
like
me
that is pretty fucking cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's yeah, like you get an idea of where like that seed of brilliance in that character, but also it's just like cute kid seeing kids learn stuff.
Hmm. And we move on from that to where uh this is I don't can you figure out like a name to like call this relationship?
Oh right, yeah. Gal
Because I
pals.
the the gal pals, Gail's okay, officially Gail's daughter, who is also older than her, is called the gal pals. They are the gal
That is
pals.
official.
They go
Um,
harden in the paint. Um,
It's movement combination. There's a tap at the beginning, then a sort of flourish.
Here, let me try that.
right? Oh yeah, the
It's like
tap and the
a tap in
flourish.
the beginning, and then it's like a sort of flourish right there. Can you guys see
Boom.
that? I did it.
That's that prime radiant flourish. That's that. It's that prime Rubik's cube for flourish.
The prime Rubik's flourish. Uh,
All we need is a master mathematician to help us predict how the
right.
world's gonna end.
Yeah. I mean, this has been sitting on my desk for a while. I haven't solved this. So it's going to take a while for me to get a hold of the RAMXES equation.
That bad? See this node?
I'm trying to like
That was the first
pause it.
crisis.
Okay, that was a lot longer than 10 seconds. YouTube, please don't murder me.
Please be kind,
Please
YouTube. It
don't
was a
kill
mistake.
us. We're covering the show. You know that you guys need this shit right now. Like, there's people that are interested, maybe wanted to watch it back.
Yeah, man.
No one is watching this stream just to watch Foundation. Like, no one is just like, oh. They're giving this shit away for free on the 9 yards. Like,
I
I'm
can
not
just put
streaming
it
the
together. I
episode.
could probably, yeah.
Please don't kill me. But it is an important part.
The one you helped solve. Now we're advancing through time. 138 years until today.
138 years.
Is that another crisis?
The second crisis. Right in our doorstep.
And then
So
now calls an
what
infinite
they're looking at
crisis.
here right now, that's Gail. That is Salver, maybe. So this is how the equation was supposed to go. This is also the link to the first crisis, and the first crisis is described by how, Alex?
I don't really remember other than just like the first season. I mean, I remember like I know that the first
Okay.
crisis happened on Terminus. And I guess it had something to do with like all the shit that went down with the
Right.
the other, I forget the two planets.
So we're going to have to briefly explain that, because
Yeah.
the first crisis is So the first crisis is that after they exiled Selden
Right.
to Stardust Foundation, there was a planetary attack where Trantor has this space elevator and it blows up in space, and then like as I presume space elevators would go when that happens, it's no longer going in orbit with the planet, it's just kind of like spinning with the planet, so
Yeah.
it
Just
like
kind of wraps
falls
around.
and wraps around the planet. They say 100 million people dead.
Oh my god.
Like
It's
it is a fucking like it is so catastrophic.
again the scale.
The scale of it is crazy, and they did not like. I think that happens in episode 1. They do
I think so.
not like expense on the budget there.
Mhm.
Like you see the space elevator crash down,
Yeah.
and it's crazy. Um,
And even like the create or the showrunner David Goyer was like talking about just like big moments like that. And he was like, we definitely wanted to make sure that we have huge moments that we like can take our time on and spend like
mhm,
the right amount of time and money to make it look great. So when like we have the rest of the show and which is admittedly very contemplative
yeah.
and like very cerebral, is like it's like we can do both. It's like is this movie isn't just like about just hand wringing and thinking about like the ethical moral complexities of the universe or like and stuff like that. It's like it's also we can do some really cool shit. We can also
Mhm,
show some really
mhm.
cool action set pieces. It's like so I already appreciate that he was like, you know, we give you your vegetables and your dessert.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a hell of a dessert. Um, and that's not even like really the first crisis. The first crisis is actually on the time scale of the foundation. But what that leads to is that there are two outer rim planets that have been kind of like victimized or like kind of trying to earn favoring with the Galactic Empire,
Right.
but they've had beef before.
Mhm.
So the Empire is like this attack on Trantor, the space elevator attack is your guys' fault.
Right.
We're
Because it just
going
like
to
happened to happen while they were visiting or something like that, right?
exactly, exactly. So they're like, we're gonna fuck up your planet. We're gonna kill your delegacy. Uh, and you know, this is Sparta, you right?
Right.
And yeah, even though you're gonna get this fucking punishment. And
And just
also,
hope you're not gonna have
all of these
generations of
guys.
resentment. Yeah.
But guess what? There's generations of resentment. And then it turns out like a little girl that has been part of that resentment, the bombardment after the retaliation from Trantor
Mhm.
was there when they bombed, and she kind of knows she's like part of like a little bit of like a connected family. She knows that like their planet had nothing to fucking do with that shit.
Right.
So she's like waged a vengeance on this planet, on Trantor against the
Mhm.
Empire. So like 50 years down the line, or probably like 20 or 30 years down the line, she has
Yeah.
grown up to be she's like Kill Bill right now. And
Right. Yeah.
she's like, I will do anything. And her plan is like, I am going to steal one of these like huge Imperial ships, and then I'm going to warp it into the middle of Trantor and blow that motherfucker up. And
Which is
it's like that's
crazy.
an awesome plan. That is so like
It
I
was
almost wish it succeeded because I was like, I want to see that. That would have been cool as hell.
That was one
That
of the
would have been
more
cool as
rad
hell.
parts of the first season is like
Yeah.
her tracking down this spaceship which is like super old to them but
Yeah.
like obviously advanced technology to us, so and
Right.
yeah it was a rad plan. I was
Yeah.
kind of rooting for her.
Yeah, because it's like kind of like delisted or whatever. It's like one of them that they can just like if they could focus it to do this thing,
Right.
And it's like gone missing because like like long before she was even born, it like malfunctioned and it has been just warping to different parts of the universe or
Right.
the galaxy,
Which kind of gives
and
it like
you
this
don't
ghost
know
ship
where
kind
it's
of
going.
mythology.
Exactly. It
It's
is
like, oh, it
so
just
cool,
appears and it
guys.
disappears all the
It's
time.
so cool.
It's so cool.
It is so cool. And so she's like, okay, I'm going to get in. I know where it's going to end up next, or it's like in our perimeter right now. This is our time to enact this plan, and we will be able to recode it. So, but while all that's happening, the terminites are like,
The
no,
termites.
we have this other thing going on. The
Uh,
Galactic Empire is going to fall, but it's not going to be really like that, right?
right.
And um the reason why they don't want it like that is because they don't have the people. They need to co-op a lot of the other people from Terminus to be able to even enact this plan. And they're like, no,
Right.
we are literally like here because we're like acting out of a divine mathematical cause.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's that like aspect of like this is the
We're on
plan.
a mission from Gad.
Yeah, we're on a mission from the hairy dick, and we will be coming coming to a town near you. But so that's the first crisis,
Right.
and that's why this stream is so long.
Yeah.
Because so that's what they're looking at here. We are about to reach here. We're almost right here to the second crisis,
Right.
right?
Uh.
And so this is the path that it should have been. Obviously it's good because it's blue. This is the red path because it's bad.
Yeah.
And
Red is bad.
we want to be, this is coming, but we want to be able to join back into this. And both of these people are kin. So and one sees your future, one sees your past. So obviously they're looking like that, like they gotta link up together, and their paths have met here,
and it's like really interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Crisis.
Just really interesting visual storytelling. Just on top of that,
Mhm.
just like of course
Just
we've been
this
talking about
shot.
how it's like we've been talking about how like great the special effects are, but just like the way that they compose their shots is like this is
Mhm.
just really well done. Just like
Right.
you were saying, just because of their outlook on the future and the past, and just these different timelines that are turning out. But yeah, I guess this other.
There was no functional way of like making this storytelling without us being in the current time that we're in, right?
Right.
They could have like ended up doing something that would have like looked like the prequels in Star Wars or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
we wouldn't, it wouldn't have really gone over that well. But I think we're getting this at a time where like even season 2 is starting off a bit more like if you're in it from season 1,
Mhm.
then you're like really in it, I feel like, in season 2.
Absolutely.
Because
I
it's
think
been like
it's been
yeah,
tighter in the second season.
it's really tight, and they've introduced some really cool characters. So they are like, okay, the red line is what actually happened since the last crisis.
That's where we really
They
are.
really are.
The plan's veering off course?
Yes.
And the plan is veering off course literally because of her.
Yeah.
Is like because of them. Like
Yeah,
it's
both of them, yeah.
She wouldn't have existed if the plan. So I don't know.
Salvor did like sort of bring things a little bit more on course, because I guess like the vault would have never opened at the end of season 1 if Salvo hadn't intervened, and she wouldn't have been able to intervene if she wasn't like the daughter of Gale and blah blah blah. Which is why Salvador thought that she was like part of this plan. He's like, I don't no, you're not part of the plan. You're actually a divergent to it. It's kind of luck that
Yeah,
You got
it's
things a
like
little bit more back on
it's like,
course.
wait, what the fuck?
But things are still messed up. Uh,
Right,
so yeah, like it's interesting that these two characters that kind of are the reason, just their existence is
right,
plan off course. They have to
and
correct it.
it is literally like, okay, take this concept and then just like apply it to the Force, right? Like,
Yeah.
why are these things happening? Why are
Mm,
people? And the reason why this is happening, again, it's like kind of like this cosmic type of intuition that humanity has. The uprising and the abilities gained by the common folk against the Empire are it's the will of like a force,
right.
right? And it says, yeah, it's a mad dash. But
Yeah.
what is like more conflicting is that more people are starting to understand the force and bend it to their will, and we're going to get to that too. Um, would you
Mm.
you
No,
have
no,
anything to
yeah,
say?
no. I would definitely agree. That's one of the things that I kind of got excited about in season one, just knowing about her, like Gale's prescient kind of abilities,
Hmm.
is seeing just like that one to one comparison of like Star Wars and just the Force and just like the rebellious nature like of the rebels and the Jedi and all that cool stuff, but just on a way more, like, I guess, thoughtful level, where it's not just like whiz whiz bang bang.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not like that's kind of like why, because I remember now when you're saying like, "Oh, you're a telepath." I'm like, "No, please do not say that word because it's a lot deeper than that."
Yeah, so yeah, it's a
Exactly.
very simple
It's a
way
lot
of
deeper than
explaining
that.
that.
So we kind of are talking now about the Trantor, the Empire's storyline. If we're going to go A B plot, but like they're both very important. If
Hmm.
there's an A, B, and C plot, then we have the A plot with the gal pals, and then we have the B plot with the Empire, and then the C plot is more with the common folk, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
now we're in the C plot. What is important here to note is that these clones have never like married or produced offspring because that would challenge their galactic lineage.
Right.
You know what I
Defeats the
mean?
whole
Like,
purpose.
right. It defeats the whole purpose. Like, we want one guy to lead us all.
Right.
And he has been doing a great job apparently for a while now. Um, and but now the current day that we are on, can't say day. It is the millennial character. So we have
Right.
Boomer, Millennial, and Gen Z. The Millennial leads the pack, and the Millennial right now has decided that he wants to take on a betrothed, a
Right.
beloved, someone that will bear his child, right?
Right.
And there's some interesting aspects of that too, because he feels like an individual soul, and that we're kind of leaning to the point where, here, I'll click off of this, but we're kind of leaning to the point that we are uh, um, getting to the psychological sense of like, what is a lineage? If you literally acting your part within this galactic lineage of this one person isn't, then what would having a wife and kids actually, because once you're gone anyway, right?
Right. Yeah.
So then why do you want to have children
Hmm.
if you're already raising a little you?
Right. Yeah, it's interesting, just like the conversation around it all, because you see how, since there has been this, I guess, quote unquote, corruption in the lineage of the clones, there's just a little bit more individuality. And it's also just like interesting seeing how these characters are a little bit different than the ones we saw in the first season. Dawn is way different than he was in the first season. And yeah, Day is just like showing a little bit more individuality, and you can see how I don't like. I could definitely see how he could be like, well, having an actual kid with a person is a little bit more just being able to create uh a legacy that I'm proud of than this sort of manufactured one. Whether
Right.
he says that out loud or not, I feel like that's his main motivation for having like a real family, because it's like I don't feel like he said, I feel like a singular soul. So now I want to have
Mhm.
be able to replicate that in my seed.
In my street, I don't give a fuck about y'all. Yeah, I know it's weird because that means I don't give a fuck about me, but
But I feel like he all but says that in like
yeah,
one
it's
of these
basically
episodes.
that's
It's like,
basically like the turmoil of it. It's
yeah,
like, okay, well, I don't really like myself, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
he's like,
want to have some kids. So and I need to note that like in season 1, it is Cleon the 13th is the millennial, the day.
right. Mhm.
And then in this one, we have moved on to Cleon the
Yeah,
17th
17th. Yeah.
is now the millennial, the day that's leading the charge. Um, so that means in season 1, the
The youngest.
Dusk, I believe, the youngest person is now the eldest one leading the
Well, no,
current generation, or is it a complete
it's a
different
completely
cycle?
different one, because like, yeah,
So it's
because it was,
13th,
I think it was like,
14th,
I think it was like 12,
15th.
13, 14 in season 1. Like the youngest one
Okay,
was 14,
13,
but in this one
uh,
it's like
13,
16, 17,
14,
18.
15, 16, 17. Okay, so yeah, it would be a complete different generation. So
So these are
because
like
yeah,
completely new
we're out of the
characters.
cycle of the 3 right now.
Yeah.
So it's completely different people. So,
Which is just
but
trippy to
they
think about.
it is, but like they're the same actor, of course.
Right.
Gosh.
Of course.
And so all that to say that they are now meeting their now betrothed wife, which I'm not sure exactly where her lineage relies on, but it
Mhm.
seems to be part of a other kind of grand lineage of the galaxy that has lived and fell as well.
Right. Yeah. It does definitely
And
seems like, yeah, they're
it's
from like a
so interesting how she interacts with them because she says things and does things that are not really no one has ever said. Like this guy literally like raises his fingers up, twists him, and then you're dead.
yeah.
And he's done
And
that for way less for
yeah, yeah.
how she talks. So I'm really interested in like how that whole thing goes. And this is the scene where we meet her.
They had just started building these rings when I left Trantor. There were signs all over, describing them as a frill around the neck of a lizard. A symbol of strength and intimidation.
Really? And here I understood that lizards raise their frills when they're frightened.
You see how she just applied her makeup?
Yeah, that was cold. I really loved
Like, that
it.
Okay, come on, guys. Like, those are just like the little nuances and details that I really love about this show because they're like, okay, let's like,
Yeah.
how
I like
does one get ready?
all the
And again,
technology
she's
that they
ethnically
do.
ambiguous too.
Yeah, she's also, yeah. Guess what my race is? Yeah,
Yeah.
she's all the technology that they use is very, it's very practical, but also everybody uses it like it's normal, like it's sort of
Mhm.
presented in just like that's just the way we do things. Because at first I thought
Right.
that she was like doing that thing where you like spray perfume in the air and then you just like walk through it or
Like,
something.
awful. Yeah.
But
Like,
no, it's
shimmy.
like
Right. 5,000 years in the future or whatever, and we're still just shimmying through like cologne and everything.
But it's sort of like that same language, like a body language of doing that, of like just like a thing that we do, but it's in a different way. It's like now this is just like the way we apply makeup.
Yeah.
So I liked that just that visual style. This show continues to impress me in that way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And let's see here. Let me see here.
They're right to be afraid of you.
They meet up. This looks like very Star Wars right there.
Yeah.
And so there was an assassination attempt on
Mm.
the millennial, and he is suspecting that the other people in his group, his brothers, what they call each other, are kind of responsible. They like wanted to kill him,
Yeah.
and of course, he's just kind of being paranoid. But the thing is that they have an alter. They are no longer the direct clones of
Right.
this person. So for the first time, they're kind of like feeling this slight bit of individuality. And it's very important to note that the Lee Pace of season 1 is not the Lee Pace of season 2 anymore.
Right. It's completely different.
He's
And even like
completely different.
yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's interesting now. Like even the oldest of these of the empire have all been quote unquote corrupted. So they're all have their own individuality in a sense, whether it's subconscious or not, because they all are as we see are trained to act the exact same way. So it might just be more of a performance at this point than anything, because now their
Exactly.
DNA isn't even identical anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why they have the choreographer there. We'll see that. And this is going to be the longest stream on 900 yards and trivia.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
But I
feel like
do.
I'm making this super
No,
long.
do not say sorry. Like I this is what I want. Like this, like
Okay,
for two
great. Yeah, 'cause
episodes of this, plus trying to acknowledge like the season 1 things. We gotta take a
it's
little bit of
so
time for
much.
this.
Yeah, it's gotta get into it.
And this little tidbit also is like what makes me love this show a lot. Right here, because again, the gal pals. I actually love that. I'm going to gal pals. Gal
The
pals.
gal pals
Is going to be like my new heading, my new like I'm going to put that in a thumbnails, like the gal pals.
I love it. Hashtag gal pals.
So they are on the water planet of Senex. And in season 1, this was rising. The water was rising. They were experiencing a climate change, global warming, and like no one was here for that shit. They're like, fuck you. What are you talking about? Because of course she's like a mathematical genius. She's like looking at it, it's like, yes.
Which is unfortunately so relevant. We're just like someone who's telling us.
And so like in 100 years, like, okay, we're looking at the top of these. Like this is the top of like where she used to live.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
So
the roof
like
of
the
her
water
house.
has risen so much in 100 years. And this explanation of like how she even knows like what's about to happen.
All that red, bright like that, means they're saturating themselves with oxygen. Means they're getting ready to dive into deeper water.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Bad? Means a hurricane's coming.
So like that is such good like world building.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like, okay, like it's a water planet. Obviously, we started off there, but she's also remembering the information that was like led her to the conclusion of like how we can tell certain events in the water are about to happen.
Right.
and so we
Yeah, like
seem
she
to
could have like
believe.
looked off into the distance and saw like clouds and was like, "Oh, there's a storm coming." But it's so
Right,
much more
exactly.
interesting for her to be like talk about the
It's
physiology of the creatures in the water. Like
exactly.
yeah,
It's
it's
like,
so much
look
cooler.
at how these animals are changing. Obviously, this is going to happen. Like,
Right.
like they're not consciously thinking about this stuff.
Yeah,
So
and it doesn't feel like
it's a
exposition because she
right,
has to explain it to Salvor because she's never been to this planet before. Is
right.
like there's a line from Titanic that I always think about, and when I think about bad exposition,
Okay.
just because
Yeah.
like
Was the
Rose's
line was the line I hope billionaires visit us sometime. Because that would be crazy foreshadowing, huh? Yeah,
Hopefully.
go ahead.
No, the line was like when Rose's mom was talking to her, she's like, your dad died. You know, when your dad died, he left us nothing but debt. It's like, why would you have to tell me that? We both know that. We've been living with that for a while now. So I
Right,
was like,
exactly.
so it always made me think about just like
It's
a
like,
bad
why would
exposition.
I yeah,
Why are you telling
yeah,
me things
bad
that I
exit.
already know? But she has to tell her this because she's never been to this planet before.
Right,
So I
and
thought,
like
yeah,
yeah, and then the Rose case is like, oh, we would just also assume that she's just rich or whatever.
right.
Right.
Yes,
So like or I mean, yeah, so we have to negate that by adding in that line to be like, oh, they're not so rich that you have to hate them. She's just like you now. She used to be
right.
rich, but now she's just
It's like she's
she's
not
just one of
Leonardo
the gal
DiCaprio poor,
pals.
but yeah.
Right. She's just one
Right,
of
one
the
of the
gal
gal
pals
pals.
now. But yeah, like that line, I was just like, good work, guys.
Yeah,
Good
well done.
fucking work.
Golf clap.
But again, it's been 100 years, and their ship landed on a point where uh they had to the water has risen, and their ship landed at a point where like it's definitely like below and it's like
Right.
sunken or whatever. There's coral growing on it that they have to deal with or whatever.
Crazy.
So uh they have to dive back in, and since it's so cool because the Gale
Mm,
lived on this planet, so she has naturally like more breath. She's like a swimmer. She's like whatever,
right.
like she knows. But um
A Salvor?
Harden
Yeah.
Salvor um grew up on the fucking Tatooine, and and she grew up on Tatooine, and she doesn't know how to swim really like that.
Right.
So but she knows how to get to the ship's controls and get it activated.
Right. So you
So
really
they
see
solved
their
this
partnership.
problem by like
Yeah.
working together in this way that gave me kind of mixed feelings. This is the only part where I'm like, whoa, guys. And I text when I was
Yeah,
watching this
man.
part, I texted you and I was just like, okay, like, hold on. I texted. All right, so let me play the clip and
Yeah, well,
then
we need to get to the I guess the
yeah.
scene because
So
I was feeling the
what they
same
come
way.
to the conclusion of is like, okay, you know how to do the thing. You're going to pass out before we even get down there or get to do your thing. But I'm going to have more breath, so I'm going to give you your breath as I'm going to give you my breath as soon as we get down there, so
Right.
you're able to do the thing. Right?
Right.
Here's a clip. Hold on, let me
Yeah, I love that
calibrate
like
that
her
a
earlier like
little bit
also
more.
just like while you're getting there, I love also just to set up this. They're just like, yeah, let's just get down to our booty shorts real quick.
Yeah.
Let's get to our
And
sexiest real
and
quick.
yeah, like
And
they
jump into the
strip
water.
down, and I'm just like, I'm like sweating and stuff. And I'm like, oh my
Like,
god, she's
like I
from
don't have
Zimbabwe. Okay, okay. So then I got a
So you're
chance
saying there's a
then, right?
chance. Yeah.
I got like a little bit and again, like these are like I mean, just like of course they're on TV, they're like movie stars or whatever,
Right.
and they're beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
but they're also like a very beautiful pairing of women to like where it's like I am like because Salvor Hardin is definitely like more Hardin. She's like a tomboy or whatever and
Right.
everything. And then like um
Then Gail.
Gail is like a lot more like she's like mousy and like nerdy
Right.
and whatever. And I'm like, guys.
Yeah, it's like, what are you guys doing right here?
Guys. you know what you're doing right now.
It's
But
not cool.
you had to make it weird with the preface.
Right. Yeah, like specific, it's like we had to have some mouth on mouth.
Right. But like in
This-
that situation, it's like it makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
We've talked about the idol for fucking weeks,
Oh,
right?
right. Yeah.
And all of the like little things in that are so gratuitous and nonsensical to the plot. Where this is like, okay, you made me love the characters individually and then introduce that they're like related and then had them do this.
Right.
One second.
It's funny
And
because
then
it's
you have
almost because there have been like some like weird moments like in Game of Thrones too, where it's just like that's okay. Like Jon Snow and
right,
Emilia
like,
Clarke.
right.
But this is less weird than that just because of the whole sci-fi
The aspect of
the
it, right.
conceptual. Yeah, it's enough
But
to
the
make
fact
you
that they're like, okay, I'm going to make sure like I don't get my clothes dry because like even when I watch like all some other stuff, right?
right.
I'm like, make sure you don't get all of wet. You don't have to get your jacket wet or anything like
Right.
that. But like they're like, oh yeah, this all makes sense what we're doing here
Yeah.
right now.
Right, yes.
And I'm going to strip down to my undies. And
Right.
I'm going to have to okay.
It's great TV show.
So like it is like even like beautiful too.
Yeah.
Because when we're talking about like lineage and like people going passing down things, right?
hmm
With the clones.
Yeah.
This is like even more so of a human like natural example.
Right. Yeah, I didn't even think about
Like
that, but this is like
it's
another legacy story.
I'm going to give you my breath, like whatever.
Yeah.
But also they're so hot.
But also that
it's like
but it's and it's also just like a really thrilling scene like
yeah.
no like I was like really on the edge of my seat just like because honestly with this kind of show people die all the time.
Mhm,
So I was like, maybe one of these guys don't make it out. But even
mhm.
after they get which it all looks spectacular, by the way, just like the way
Like
the
I
water
think they were
escapes the
actually
scene.
they were underwater.
Yeah, which makes
Filming
me kind of
this.
just like thinking about just like the actors. It's like, how did y'all shoot this? Oh man, I would have been so claustrophobic trying to shoot this
It's
underwater.
like crazy, yeah. It
But
is
the
so
way
good.
the way that the water flushes from the ship and everything, the way it's shot, it really makes it feel real, like you really believe everything about it.
Exactly. So they are able to unsubmerge the ship. And
Beautiful.
and I was like, kiss her again. I was like, wait, hold on. Never mind. Never mind. Delete. Delete, 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 delete. Oh, never mind. Don't do that. That's your mom, god damn it.
Siri, play Kiss the Girl from Little Mermaid.
Right. Right. It is so like insane, right?
Yeah, like yeah, that was yeah.
Yeah, and it's
It's
just like
complicated thoughts.
just like beautiful. I don't know, like, and it's a situation that like maybe if you're watching this right now, we've been kind of deluded of beautiful black women in sci-fi. We need more of that. We
Absolutely.
need all of that.
That is a
Every
very good
single
point.
bit of it.
That was another thing that like kind of caught me, like the thing that initially caught me on this show, because like I said, the Cleon story hooked me. But when I was just going through Apple TV Plus after I watched Ted Lasso and For All Mankind, I was like, oh, what else is on this thing?
Right.
I saw like this
What else we
beautiful
got
black
here?
woman holding a glowing thing, and it
Yeah.
was like, this is sci-fi. I was like, say word.
Okay,
You got a
let me check
black
this thing
lady?
out there. Yeah, let me get that.
So
Let me
I'll
get
give it a
that.
try.
Yeah, I gotta.
You got to.
Gotta.
But yeah, like these two really strong characters, strong in different ways, because they, like we had mentioned, they both have their different strengths and way different character traits that help strengthen one another. It's really, really cool to see like two incredibly talented black actresses just like killing it in the sci-fi world, because like you said, it doesn't happen very often.
And it needs more attention, you know. I feel like this show needs a bit more attention. So what happens is that they are able to deduce that. We cut to the new betrothed being presented to
Yes.
and there's some hard lines in this scene too.
Yeah, she's
There's some really hard lines when she's introduced.
Sole descendant of Dominion.
She comes out like Beyonce.
Lady Gaga.
Leaning for, you're right.
Titles, and yet you met the most intriguing one, bride to be.
Provisional.
Indeed.
She's like, not yet.
Right, I'm still
Not
considering.
yet, homie. Indeed, allow me to present Empire's Dusk and Dawn. I feel like that is important just so we can kind of introduce like these.
Allow me to
characters in
present
context.
Empire's Dusk and Dawn.
Will they manage a kind look for the usurper? Thank you, gentlemen.
Empire,
Okay.
it is to you,
Exactly.
the three of you, I present.
Okay, so that is, of course, that is the millennial. This is the boomer, and then this is Gen Z. They are all the same person. However, this guy is the one in charge.
Right.
The young, spryful one, and then this guy advises on his previous legacy, and then this one is going to eventually become this one, and then
Right.
this one.
Good casting for all of them too. Like I could have
Good,
seen
very good, yeah.
Like in a lesser hands, I could have seen them just like sort of CGIing, like, oh, let's do Lee Pace, but let's do CGI young Lee Pace, and then like old makeup Lee Pace for the other one, and just do all the CGI nonsense. But like, I don't forget what other podcast we were talking about. It's like no one just casts older actors for older versions of people anymore.
I think we're talking about like
Secret Invasion.
Yeah, we're talking about Secret Invasion
because Nick Fury.
Yeah.
But this is
were you
nice.
guys around? Did you join us for any of The Last of Us?
No. Oh no, we didn't for Last of Us.
Because the other thing is that because of course Bella Ramsey is Ellie in that,
right?
And then when they have the flashback to when Ellie was born, they got the actual actress that was mocapped for Ellie,
right
and
in
they
the game.
look
Yeah.
literally like, oh yeah, I can see how this chick birthed Ellie. Like I was like, it's very good casting
Yeah.
actually. That's like
Even just
that
like the
makes
voice and everything. Yeah, like it was
the
a
voice
really
and
good
everything. I was
casting.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was like really good casting. And then, you know, I guess in reverse, if you're going to cast someone's parent, then how serendipitous is it that the um
Yeah, the
voice
voice
actor for
actress.
the original game looks like an older version of
Right.
the like I was
And
like,
she
wow,
actually happens to be really good too. Like she
and
actually,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, she knows how to do her thing. And a little bit of a weird thing with her, because there are cool moments with this thing,
Mm.
but what the and I think this is going to come into play later in the season. The Empress to be gifts gifts
Oh yeah, I love this gift with the
the live chroma is what they call it.
right.
And imagine if you are able to paint with colors that move, like
Yeah.
kind of have like you're
Like a
tripping
motion
balls
picture.
effect.
Right.
Yeah, right. Like they
Yeah.
don't move like exactly like, oh, always active, but they move in a way that's like, whoa, is this painting looking at me right now?
That is actually, yeah, that is actually a really good like if right before you start hallucinating after if you
Right. Yeah.
if you take
Like,
mushrooms
yeah,
right
right.
before you start hallucinating, that's what the
Yeah.
the
That's what
chrono.
and this is very pure things. And it's always like a hobby of the dusk version of the Cleons
Mhm.
is particularly enjoying. It might be like the last thing that he's even really able to do, since he can't control the empire.
Right.
How
And
nearly impossible to procure in a form that does not fade.
and they're like the most pure colors.
Dominion pioneered the science of active chroma,
Active chroma.
which adorn our mural walls.
You can definitely see how much it means to him, because like you said,
And-
that's his thing now.
And that's one of the big plot points of season 1, is that of how they realize that one of the clones are
Yeah.
one of the clones are defective, is because he's colorblind.
Right. Yeah.
And then they set up a mural and they're like, oh, what do you see? And they hid different elements of the mural to where a colorblind person wouldn't be able to see it.
Such a well paced scene. Like that scene was
It's so
awesome.
good. And I was just like, oh my god, you fucking
Right? It's like, you know, you'd have fucked
fell
up,
for
right?
that? You fucked me. Because then he like gets he has a device from his servant maid or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's right.
It's like, I'm gonna fix my color blindness a little bit or whatever. And then he turns it on, he's like, oh fuck.
It's like, I gotta get out of here, man.
Yeah.
Oh man. So wild.
It's like, oh, it says destroy. Clicks on, it's like, we will destroy you. You better run right now. Oh, fuck. Like, that's basically what it's
Yeah. Yeah,
and
it's
like
funny
what they were
because one of the things I was thinking when I was watching the second episode of this season, I was like, they're doing a pretty good job if you wanted to, just because the scale of the show is so huge. If you wanted to, you could watch like Apple TV Plus's 3-minute recap of the first season and just jump into the second season if you want to. But I feel like by the second episode, you still want to like go back and watch the whole first
it
season.
doesn't even make sense. Hold on, let me see here. My sister, let's see.
Oh, do we need to wrap up
Hold
soon?
on. No, we don't need to wrap up, but hey, hello.
Hey, bro, what's the other name of the taco place?
I'm on stream right now. What's up?
We're gonna get tacos, but can you text the name?
You sound like you've been screaming all night.
I'm so scared I'm gonna stop
You're on stream right now. Hey, say hello.
Hello.
Oh, you
Hope
like
you
the
enjoy
sound of
Beyonce.
You enjoyed Beyonce? But you're going to get tacos?
Yeah, we're on the train to head back to Belmont on the red line, but we need to. Where's the train station? Where's the taco?
You sound like you smoked 1,000 cigarettes, and I cannot even like hear the words that you're saying right now. Like I can't process them because of how funny. What?
Where are the tacos?
Where are the tacos? You can find. I live near 10 taco joints here. Just get a taco. Just get me whatever you get. Whatever you get, I'm down for.
But where?
The same place that you went to. You can go to Big City Tap.
You just grab me 2 tacos too while you're out there.
Right. Send some tacos to LA. Huh? Okay, yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Love you. Bye. Yeah, they've been drinking watermelon. That is, yeah, and they're about to all come back here, and it's gonna be
let's get
ridiculous.
back to these alien superstars.
Right? Yeah, yeah. She's been Beyonce right here. And let's see here. I'm gonna just play this clip.
Or is this a vision of a diminished future?
I'm sorry.
The orbital rings adorning this world are impressive. But surely there are more efficient ways to launch payloads into space.
When ruling a realm so large, evoking awe often trumps
efficiency. Is what he says. When ruling a realm so large, evoking awe often trumps efficiency. Like that's the scale of this whole conglomerate here.
Yeah, it's saying a lot, and also just like on the surface, it's just funny that he's saying is like, yeah, I know that the rings around the planet aren't like efficient, but it looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, but like, it's rule of cool here. We're going to get our stuff. We're going to get our Amazon packages. But wouldn't it be cooler if like we have flames on the side?
Wouldn't it be cool?
I really want our Amazon drivers to be bumping the new Little Yachty album every single time they run through your streets.
Like 215s in the truck. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like we want that. It's like, yeah, that's like the hubris and like the like if we're going to sum up their whole entire thing, emperoracy, then that's basically it. Like, that's what they're now dedicated to producing, is just like awe.
Yeah. And you can see how like this character, how like this new Queen Sereth, like she's very abrasive and like, you know, rude or whatever, but you can kind of see how she could help this Day character as he's trying to like establish his own individuality. So like maybe this could be a change for, you know, the way the Empire does things, because she's like, you know, you've been kind of doing this and this and this, but it's not really efficient, and it's not the best way of going about things.
And we have a few people watching right now. Drop in, tell us like a comment, give us a comment, and Alex will answer whatever you want. I'm going to just like peace out for just a second here, and Alex is going to talk about, because this is the end of episode 1. We're going to be moving on with episode 2. Maybe you can just describe this part.
This part here, Anacreans have located a derelict warship called the Invictus. Yeah, that's right. So like we had mentioned earlier in the pod, or in this show, the people on the Terminus had sent up this sort of fake solar or not solar flare. What's the word when a star explodes? But they replicated a star exploding just so they could make it seem like they had been destroyed. And since this had happened at the same time that Cleon's DNA corruption had been discovered, they just had more pressing things to worry about at the time, so they weren't really trying to launch a full scale investigation on what was going on Terminus, and also it was an exiled planet on the in the middle of nowhere. They really weren't super concerned with it at the time, but now it seems that they have like they're showing signs that maybe that they have been in hiding and formulating their own little rebellion on the other side of the universe now that they've discovered the warship called the Invictus. Like we had mentioned before, that is the cool ghost ship of yesteryear that that Salvo Hardin eventually ultimately discovered, and now I guess they're using it to develop a sort of rebellion on the other end of the universe. It's pretty wild, and it just shows the once again just like the scale of this show, how it just like evolves over centuries and centuries. Yeah, again, like Empire finds out the Terminus did not die as they supposed. The matter was never really fully investigated, but they decided to gather more information before acting. And I guess that goes into episode 2 a little bit. I guess we're just I don't know if I should wait till 9 comes back, but we do have in the episode 2, Brother Day lays out his plans for his marriage to Queen Sareth. Like we mentioned earlier in the last episodes, the character played by Elia Ray Smith, who looks a lot like Gugu and Batu Ra. I definitely thought that was her in the first episode. But then back on Sanix, is it Sanix? Whatever, Gail's home planet. Leave it in the comments if you know what the name of her planet was. But Gail has another haunting premonition, and the vault delivers a chilling message of its own, which I guess that's just like where we leave off on episode 2. But Gale is confronted with by an angry Harry because he's released from the. Oh, thank God you're back. I was really
no, keep going.
Honestly, I was just getting
You're
into
talking about Harry Dick.
I was getting into Harry Dick, just talking about how he got released from the Prime Radiant, and right. Gale has been confronted. Gale and Salvo, I guess now, are being confronted with his very angry AI self.
Right. I do want to talk to you. It's a sidebar. Well, catch me up on what's the last part? Did you move on to episode 2 already?
Yeah, just the very, very beginning. Like I was because I just rounded out like at the end when Empire finds out that the Terminus didn't die.
Well, what I'm about to say really doesn't fucking matter to the plot of this at all.
Yeah.
But I found out that my sister and her friend do not believe that the moon landings happened. Like we've never been to the moon. Like that's a conspiracy theory that they attribute to. And it was like, oh, you're like, oh my God, have you ever watched Flat Earthers? And I was like, yeah, I fucking love watching like Flat Earthers, like debunk things, right? Like that's so. They're like, yeah, that's so. It's like, yeah, it's like can't believe you believe in that. It's like, yeah, I mean, some people like just believe in like whatever, and it's like, like move, like we've never been to the moon. They're like, oh, what? No, I don't think we have ever been to the moon. I'm like,
It's like, no, but that's
What?
definitely never happened.
Wait, why?
That is, yeah, that's still a very wild. Like, I can sort of, even though it's been debunked by, like, you know, like even Corridor Crew that we were talking about before, is like, it's been debunked. They definitely went to the moon when they said they went to the moon.
Yeah.
But even if you don't want to believe that they went then, surely we've been since.
Right. Yeah,
like, it's
like,
been a
or even
while.
like, what if you thought the first part was fake, which it definitely wasn't, then all of the other ones, that was the main piece of evidence, is like, well, why haven't we been back? And I was like, well, what's at the moon to go back?
Yeah, it's
Why
like,
do we need to keep on going to the moon?
right, what's going on
There's
there?
nothing there.
A whole lot of parties.
Right. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
and even then, it's like, maybe we even have, and like, we haven't, like, like, I would believe that the government as like secretly went to the moon without like, or like whatever, us knowing about it, before I believe that we haven't ever been to the moon.
Right. Same. Like, I'd be
Like, that
more
is
likely to believe that they go there like once every 6 months or some such shit.
right.
Than to
Yeah,
think
like,
that
they're
we've
setting
like,
up shop or whatever,
yeah.
rather than like, yeah, it's like, because that's like literally the only reason I can think about like multiple governments or like multiple agencies of the US government collaborating together and the funding necessary to, like, and they're
Man, you
like,
got
why
me
haven't we been back? And I'm like, have you seen NASA's budget?
right. You got
Like,
me wanting to watch For All Mankind again. Honestly.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good one. I haven't finished For All Mankind either. Is it done?
No, there, I think that they have a new season coming out this year, but they haven't like released the date yet. It'll probably come out like after this wraps up, honestly.
Okay. Sorry if you guys can hear the street. Can you hear the street coming from my microphone?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I got my window open for once because I'm smoking in here and everything.
Can you hear
No,
anything?
like,
Okay.
You're hooked up to like a soundboard and everything, so I know you're fucking fresh. You could probably like do stuff like this and be like, you could be like, this is on the moon.
Just down and actually like 15 minutes.
Right, yeah,
figure it out.
just like all the time, and it's like kind of like, oh yeah, I'm pretty excited that NASA's about to go back to the moon now. For the I forget what's that mission's called. NASA moon mission Artemis 3. It's planned to be the first crewed lunar landing, and it's going to be like the first black man on the moon is going to be,
which is so, every time I hear a milestone like that, it's like, it's bittersweet. It's like, oh, that's cool, but it's like, damn, really? It took this long?
Yeah, y'all were doing this, and okay, but it's also like, I think the first like woman to be on the moon too, so you know,
right? Yeah, because there was homegirl who was close. Yeah, but
but I'm like, yeah,
American
let's
history.
go back to the moon. I wouldn't like, I'm excited to be a part of that. And it says what? Put it up on screen for you guys. It says that it says that Artemis 3 2005 is planned to be the first crewed lunar landing. The mission depends on a support mission to place the Starship human landing system in place in a near rectilinear halo orbit of moon prior to launch of SLS Orion. And that's going to be like, yeah, like, I'm almost glad that we haven't been to the moon, like, and we're actually going to be able to see it. Like, it's like a whole generational thing, right?
Yeah, it's pretty rad that we're going to be able to experience that, because
but also, like,
so
Buzz
many...
Aldrin is still alive.
Yeah.
So, like, no, like, he's been to the fucking moon,
right?
Like,
it feels like it's like, you know, oh, so long ago, it was generations,
It's like,
generations.
no,
Like, no,
dude, like, that shit's like, we yeah, we got civil rights, and then we went to the moon. But just barely. Like, that's how, like, oh yeah, you niggas will get rights when we go to the moon. It is like just barely right there.
It sounds like like a Gil Scott Heron poem. It's like, why they can fly while the black man gotta crawl.
Right, exactly. So
it sounds
I
nothing
was
like
just
Gil
like,
Scott Heron, but you know what I'm saying.
we were at brunch. It's been a long time. So I went to brunch with a bunch of like, actually, I wouldn't say like, oh, I went to brunch with a bunch of Beyonce fans, but I'm like also a Beyonce fan, so it's like I went to brunch with a bunch of people that are going to be at a Beyonce concert.
Right.
I went to brunch with a bunch of people that are going to be at a Beyonce concert. It's
That's
not
a lot
that
of
hard,
bees.
but it's a little, but it can get more complicated, I swear. RAMXES. But but like, it was just like so weird that the conversation landed on that, and it landed on that because we're church going folk, right?
Right.
Especially my mother. She's part of a bunch of different groups, and she got a text that like said that like, oh, have fun, but I do want to let you know Beyonce is the devil. And she's part of the Illuminati, and so I hope you don't and she's like, my mom is like, so like, my mom is so based, because like, she's like, doesn't believe black people can be successful because unless they're devil worshippers. Like that, like, she like understood.
Only
I was
way.
like, yeah, that's probably it. Because like in that same text, they like mentioned Oprah, and I'm like,
yeah, she's
I'm
the
like,
original Beyonce.
right. It's like,
Simpsons.
in this instance, I'm like, so yeah, black people can't be successful unless they give their souls away to the devil. They pay that price.
If she had to sell her soul to the devil for us to get Renaissance, then I salute you, Beyonce. I appreciate your sacrifice.
You can't break my soul, but you can sell my soul. But everybody, no, it's like, where do I give my soul away to the devil? Beyonce, because like,
right.
Give me that path right now, because
send me the link, please.
Has not been working out for me that much.
Not great.
It's not been cool.
Yeah, if you had a choice between being Harry Seldon or Beyonce, which one would you choose?
Oh, Beyonce for sure.
Beyonce all day. But Harry Seldon gets to live on with AI. With the AI in in the vaults and everything.
Yeah, but as we good transition here. I'm gonna play this clip.
It occurred to you that you would become my torturer. You didn't give it a second's thought, did you? I was conscious the entire time.
I didn't know. Hurry. I just looked.
Dude, conscious the entire time for hundreds of years.
God damn.
Like, like over 100 years, bro.
No weed, no Netflix, no nothing.
No foundation. But seriously, like, imagine just like, I'm in a void.
Honestly, that's like so terrifying.
What day is it? I think it's my birthday. No,
all right. If you want to make things interesting, it's like
to me. My family's probably dead. Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, like that would be terrifying. So yeah, definitely Beyonce to your question. But we continue from that episode because again, there is a Harry Seldon hard cut. Have you been? Because I want to like kind of like, we have a lot of content here.
Yeah.
So
we move it along,
okay, so 220 2:20.
Ooh, 2:24.
2 hours
yeah.
and 20 minutes. Are you okay?
Oh no, I'm totally good, but yeah, I understand we should probably wrap it up pretty soon because
I was gonna say the second episode is actually not like
there's not a lot going on.
right. There's not a lot going on. So we have Harry Seldon, and we're at 2 hours and 20 minutes when we get into the second episode. I think the first 40-50 minutes is for season 1, and then we move on to first episode of season 2, and then now we're on season 2, episode 2. And
the Gal Pals
have unlocked Harry Seldon's mind from his from Abraxas, the Rubik's Cube. He was in this Rubik's Cube for 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what the fuck is going on here? And so they only called him out because he, with his prescience, his 4-dimensionality, is going to be able to figure out like what's wrong with the ship, what needs to be fixed to get off the planet, off of the hurricane that they're in right now, because obviously if you're at the surface on a hurricane is going to be a lot more disastrous if you're just like at the bottom of the sea on a hurricane. So they don't want to
incredible sequence, by the way, just like super tense.
It was good. It was really good.
All
of the movements made sense too.
Yes, that was like one of the things that I thought about was like when Salvor went on to the top of the ship to like do repairs. One of the first things she does is like there's this little thing where you could just hook a cable onto your hip.
And
like,
it would have been meant for spacewalks.
Right. Exactly.
Like at the spaceship, it would have been meant more for spacewalks, but they're using it terrestrially. And it's like, that makes fucking sense.
All the sense in the world.
Good.
It's
so good. I'm
very
gonna play
thoughtful.
this little thing right here.
She changed up her hair a little bit.
It's that little thing. It also reminds me a little bit of Jurassic Park for some reason.
I can see that for sure, especially Jurassic Park.
You know why? I don't know the first Jurassic Park.
Okay. I guess
the hook in the first Jurassic Park, it kind of has that little. But what I was gonna say is that I forgot what I was gonna say. Cut this part out.
Cut that. No, I did like just from that shot that you had showed earlier. They have that cool scene from the window, which is clearly practical, like they built that set. But then when they open up to like out the exterior of the ship, that's clearly CGI. It's like it's such a good blend and
of CGI too.
Yeah, of the CGI and the practicality. So it just tricks your brain, which is like you don't like you just accept it all.
We don't need to because literally I've seen a lot of scenes like this where they're not strapped to shit. The ship is moving like this.
Right. Yeah.
And like they're just like, oh, I am walking perfectly and running and like moving.
Rise of Skywalker, when they're like storming up, they're all running on the ship.
That was in my fucking head when she's not Rey and like getting splashed by waves. Like water has weight to it.
Right.
Even like wind has weight to it.
Yeah, all this is gonna affect the way you move and
they fucking like pulled it off.
Hurry! The front's almost on top of us!
I'm almost there!
Then again, like they brought up the coral being plastered to the ship in the last episode.
Right.
And it's like that had a reason.
Yeah, and like even Salvor was like, it's not gonna be a problem. He's like, oh, I guess it is a problem later on.
Guys, I got my first ever comment donation tonight. I know there's a few of you watching.
That is wonderful.
Please at least like and subscribe, or just like leave a comment if you are just watching this, and you haven't seen Foundation. Just say hey in the chat, whatever. I will just show your comment, say hello to you if you are watching. Now from there, they obviously are able to get the ship together. And I think this is going to be the newest cast member thing that we see. And this
Right. Yeah.
is with them. And can you describe what's going on here? Like what these characters are doing?
So this was the most confusing part, I guess, of the new season for me. Not only because this character, the older man, it seems like he was there during the events of the first season, which I
He's
don't know how.
He's Cap. He's on Cap, or else he was cryo. He cryo slept too.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a reveal that he had some sort of cryo sleep at some point. Because maybe he is like the little British Indian boy from the first season. I haven't double checked what the character's name was or anything. But yeah, I do like. It's interesting how like these two characters are sort of like these fake. I guess. I don't know, like televangelists of like of space.
Misbehaving.
Come on now. Y'all
go watch the Unrighteous Gemstones review on the Drunk Panthers channel.
Yeah, check us out, man. Oh man, these characters were really weird. Honestly, this is the most confusing part to me, just because like the land that they're on, I'm not how. Like, have y'all never seen a spaceship? Y'all not understand that the reason why these guys are floating up and
that's why
shooting these things out of their wrists?
That makes maybe more sense because it's like so desolate within the outer rim of the planet that they because what may have been occurred in this first crisis after the attack and like whatever is that they're like, oh, all of these people are dead here in this sector. So that means we are, as Empire, like there's no technology being proliferated.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, and it has been like, a few generations, so like you don't know what
at
you
least
don't
a couple generations, right? And then like maybe have been more populated through people in the Foundation that is splintered or whatever. So it's like, so it's like and it's very interesting because you may not, but like again, if there's people living on water worlds and like living off I was gonna say the land, but the water there, but like like still like fishing in the old style or whatever. It's just like that's their way of life, even if they have a greater understanding, and they may have like rejected that or whatever. So I think it's interesting.
That is a good point, and I'm expecting when I watched this in this episode, I was expecting. Okay, this is interesting, and I'm waiting to see them expand on it a little bit. Sort of the way that we got Salvor in the first couple episodes of the first season. Is like they're giving me a little, but I know that this is gonna be something bigger later.
Right, yeah.
And also, just like
it pays off in this episode, which I appreciate too.
It actually really, it actually does pay off in this episode. And just to say real quick, the animal that Homegirl was riding on,
very cool.
So cool. Apparently, just another way that they saved money on this show. They borrowed there's like this mechanism that they use in Game of Thrones to simulate horseback riding that they borrowed. But since this creature moves more like a cat, they turned the mechanism sideways so it moves more like a cat would.
Oh.
So that's how they got the movement for her
Okay.
walking around.
Because like yeah, like it's it is definitely more of like a feline than a horse.
Yeah. So like, and I would have not even thought of that.
Where did like even the way that like the chain is rocking it whatever is like more side to side than it is up and down.
Yeah.
Where did you see that? Where
I
did you hear
saw that
about
on
that?
the Corridor Crew video where they were just talking about
Ah,
the special
I'm gonna
effects
have
of
to
the show.
watch that. Is that like that just came out or what?
Yeah, I think it just dropped like today, honestly.
Shout out to Corridor Crew. Invite me and Alex on that shit because
Right? We shout y'all
yeah,
out all the time.
we love talking about that shit.
Oh,
We love
please.
talking about it. I wish I could do it. I just don't have the patience. I don't have the patience to do any type of VFX.
Oh my gosh,
And
yeah,
I've
it's
learned
so
how to do some of it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to apply this to my videos." But it's like, for a 2-second clip,
yeah, it's
really?
seems so time consuming.
Am I
Like
going to spend 4 hours for
you
like
really have to love it.
what is at max like a literally 10-second thing? Then no, I'm
Not
not
trying to
going
be
to do
Brad
that
Bird
anymore.
over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what tripped me out here though is that actually I really like this shot when the
Oh, when it's
well
drinking the
it
water.
like moves to drink it hit. Nah, I'm gonna play that just
It looks
in case
incredible, man.
anybody is watching right now. But I'm gonna play this. I really love this right there.
It's back for the cleric.
For some reason, I'm like, okay, they're introducing this character correctly.
Yeah.
Like just the pan out to her dipping in the water also with it's like okay we are in tune with the things that we are using as our labor
Right.
and it just sets the right way
Yeah, even like just like that little 10-second moment of her like yeah, getting the water and also seeing this great composite of this creature drinking the water and her calling
mhm.
her Becky, like it has a name.
Becky, yeah, Becky,
Becky with the
Becky with
good
the good
hair.
hair, yeah.
Like
Jinx.
it's it's just like a really great character moment that's again it's only like maybe 10-15 seconds but it's done so expertly. Like it's like, oh, I want to see more of this relationship between these two.
You're right, exactly. This is me right here.
Go away. I'm sick.
You're hungover.
Not again. No.
Oh man.
And they have like
Not again.
and so that just like makes them puke up a bunch.
It's overshot.
And so you want to describe these characters a little bit more?
Yeah, they seem to be like these religious missionaries for the region.
Mhm.
Again, these were the characters that kind of bewildered me the most, where I wasn't sure where they stood, but they you know she seems like the more pragmatic one. He seems like the more oafish alcoholic drug addict person. You know, he had in the
Mhm.
PD as soon as he wake up.
But he's the one that has seen the shit.
Right. Yeah, he's like the actual he's actually seen Harry Seldon with his own eyes.
Mhm.
So that does make him a little bit more unique
Mhm.
in all these zealots. But and I also like the language between the two is kind of in Battlestar Galactica where like the males
Mm.
or the females in military call each other sir. Where in
Okay.
this religious space they both call each other
Call each
brother.
other brother. I was just like, okay, are they introducing like a trans element to this? But it's like, no, that's
Right.
not what it
Yeah,
is.
like they
Even like I was like looking out for that. Not like I I hope I didn't say that like, oh, I'm against that or whatever.
no
But like
because
I
of
was
just
like, oh, is this like a trans character or something? And like they have something that they're not going to move on to the fact that they. But
Right.
that's
Yeah.
not the case at all. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they definitely establish in the language. It's like, no, this is
Mhm.
the language of the religion, because one of the people in um the town is like, go home, gal, and she's like, the name is brother religious
Yeah.
thing of blah,
Right. Like
blah.
I am. Yeah. Right. Like my title is brother, and I was
Right.
like, oh, okay. Like that's literally okay. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's
Um,
smart exposition.
it is. It is really smart exposition, especially when I'm thinking like, okay, like how because I'm woke, but I also think about like what
Right.
the woke antagonism about like every media is, and I'm
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, this is not how we gain the points,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
but then they're like, oh no, this is not like we're not doing that. And I'm like, oh, you got me,
Right.
yeah,
Right. Exactly. Like, yeah.
yeah. It's
Unfortunately,
like,
you got to
oh
be
my
like,
god,
but
we
are
gotta
you?
outsmart these
Yeah.
motherfuckers, right? But it's like, and I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, hopefully there's like part of the people that are like against the wokeism or whatever are like had the same thought and then was like and then they
Right.
can
It's like,
see
oh
like
man,
how
I'm the asshole.
ridiculous it
Yeah.
is to like whatever. But yeah,
Right.
um what I was gonna say is that so
What?
he's the guy
Mhm.
that has uh says that he has been around for
Right.
the human. So that kind of like adds to his like it's like yeah, I'm doing this stuff. I do believe in it. I've seen it or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna drink. I'm gonna fucking get high at this point. Like,
Right.
dude, like, like I don't know how fucking long you expect me to do this shit, right? And uh what they're visiting here now is that like the local people of we don't get a clear description of like what the planet name is. I don't think that they're currently on is that, but the outer rim is evangelicalizing the foundation's
Right.
religious thing. So they're like spreading the word. They're like literally operating their own
Yeah. They're
type
crusading
of
the
crusade. Yeah,
galaxy.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. But this guy back here,
Whew,
he
yeah.
got fucked up.
Yeah.
He's
He had a
not as
tough
good as
spot.
that. And
Yeah.
one
Where
more
there is
thing, and
religion, there is religious persecution, as we all know.
and one more thing before we like zoom into this episode is that I was like, one, what? Because again, I say that there is a. I'm gonna put myself. When I say that there is an A, B, and C plot, the A plot is with the Gal Pals. The
Mhm.
B plot is Trantor and the Empire, and then the
Right.
C plot is the common folk. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, we're getting common folk episode, like right?
Right.
But I was like so happy with like how they interact with each other. I was like, y'all
Yeah. They
know
have really good chemistry.
they
Yeah.
have like almost like the best of Marvel quippiness,
Yeah.
where I'm like, this is good, but like in a sci-fi sense.
Yeah, like, cause I again, like, yeah, like, even though I wasn't sure of, like, I had so many questions of, like, who are
My
these
family.
people, and like, how did this religion sort of develop? How old is this guy for real?
Who's
Um,
that?
but like, honest, like their relationship with each other and their rapport really kept me invested in everything, and that was going on, and just their interaction with the townsfolk later. It really helped me like not really check out, because there are sometimes, honestly, with the common folk storylines in the last episode, or just
Yeah.
some storylines, even some of the
Where sometimes it's like I don't know how important this all is right
yeah,
now, and
right,
it actually does hold up and becomes a bit more important. but it is definitely the slower C plot of the whole thing. All right.
Yeah.
But, in context, looking back on it, I'm actually enjoying. I do appreciate them trying at least to do that.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where these characters go moving forward, especially Homeboy, since he saw some wild shit at the end of this episode. Or I guess they both did, but he, just the juxtaposition with what he saw the first time Harry Seldon came out and the vault opened to when it opened this time.
1 second, I think I need to let them in. Actually, let me give you like another thing. I thought this was very interesting. You can maybe talk about this scene where he is more in conflict. He's more trying to figure out like, oh, they're do this.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So this is the part where Brother Day is trying to figure out exactly who set up the assassination attempt against him. He just survived the assassination attempt in episode 1. So him and the android, I think her name is Desmeralda. That's definitely not Desmeralda.
You want to say?
But he's trying to figure out who tried to kill him. And they name drop this character that we haven't.
We are currently 2 hours and 45 minutes into this stream. But yeah, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hello.
Hi, YouTube. How many people are on here?
It's only 6 people. Right now, we might. I'm gonna.
We're famous.
Hi. They're all coming back from the Beyonce concert. You got tacos for me?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. I got my first donation today.
Oh, that's so nice.
In unison.
It's not like a Family Matters studio
this
audience.
This is Alex.
Hi,
right
Alex.
Here.
Hello. Hello,
He's
family.
joining us from LA. He's a couple hours behind us right now.
This wonderful LA setting, as you can see.
Wonderful LA setting.
It's glamorous here.
Nice.
Who wants to put the, are you guys gonna do something or what's up?
We'll sing.
Will you sing?
What are we singing? You won't break my soul.
Alien superstar.
Oh my God! Everybody.
Yeah. That album changed my life.
Bye, Alex.
Bye.
Bye. It's nice meeting you all.
I think he said bye. Probably.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, your family seems super sweet.
But yeah,
your family seems super sweet.
Yeah, those are my girls. Don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with
crew.
it. Don't fuck with it. It's the fan.
Yeah, I like how they all like said all like they were the family.
We're all just like, oh
Family Matters.
God, you guys are like so like right, like woo, cheer, applause. Right,
So
like
sweet.
they all just did this. Again,
but I was just mentioning that that Brother Day was he's still conducting the investigation on who was trying to kill him during that scene, and they had name dropped that sort of rogue member of their military.
What was that? That was
I guess we're gonna see him later on in the season.
If he refuses,
I mean, well under.
everything
Hello,
goes
Royce.
wrong. Do they think the luck happened to be on his side? He disobeyed me.
Best man for the job.
He retreated under fire over the
right here.
Oh, come on.
Honest, incorruptible.
Belrios?
Belrios.
But
Yeah.
that sounds very, because at the end of this episode, it is Mel something.
Wait, the Mel that does what now?
Who she sees in the vision.
Oh, right. It's oh man. Yeah. That's like Mar or something.
Because now that I'm thinking about it,
In
I'm
the
like,
in
okay,
the
that
in the
kind of
vision,
does sound like
150 years.
a anagram now that you just said it. I was like, okay, they're going to contact Bel Rios.
That
And
would
that he's
be
pissed about that.
yeah,
And
that would be really interesting.
okay, so he has an outburst about like, the circumstances that he's in right now. And it's really interesting here because
How long did you expect my outburst to last?
A minute and a quarter. You came in well under. Shall I speak with Rios?
so like I was like, okay, she knows exactly how these clones, these men react. Like she's
Right.
was there in the beginning.
Yeah. She knows
And
like
so
his temperament to a T. And he's now come accustomed to her knowing him that well. He's like, I just
Mhm.
needed to get that out, right? Like, how long did you think
Right.
that was gonna last?
Yeah. And then she was like, just you came a little under, and I
Right.
like looked back at it. I was like, oh yeah, his outburst was literally just a little under.
Yeah.
And I was like, exactly what you said. I was like, this is good. That's
But I
good.
like the idea that Mule was the Mule was the name of that
Hmm.
telepathic character, telepathic warlord, as it were. Yeah, I think I like that idea that he might be Bel Rios because this
Hmm.
is all this character that we haven't seen yet, but we know he's gonna affect
We'll
things in the
we'll
future.
we'll get to that just now. I do want to just come attention the scene right after this. Dude, this is going on 3 hours. Are you still good?
I'm still good. I mean,
Okay.
I'll have to pee in maybe like 10 minutes.
Oh, you haven't gotten up at all, huh?
Yeah, I'm actually very proud of myself.
Yeah, this is fucking this is crazy.
Usually with the combination of coffee and alcohol, like I have to pee like every 6 minutes.
What time is it for me? Oh, it's late for me too.
Jesus. Yeah.
But right here, this is where like we see the individuality. I hope you can see it. Everyone's watching.
Yeah. How many
It was
takes?
right there, right? It was right there, right?
Yeah.
They go over the plate. He did not.
Oh wait, I didn't even catch that.
Look at the frame again. I was watching this. I was like, okay. One more time. One more time. Look at them. Look at them.
Okay, yeah.
It is very slight. It is
the
very slight.
Because honestly, I didn't understand what the homegirl was talking about.
It is
in the
very slight. It is very slight where they're like basically aiming for center of the plate beforehand, and he's just like a little bit not there.
Right.
And I was just like, okay. And this is
Bel
when
Rios. He's the ablest general we have.
Yes, and he knows it. And if he's out to settle scores with you, it will get volatile. His by 3
was off by 3 centimorgans. I don't know centimorgan, but it's more than a centimeter.
Yeah, is it more or less than a centimeter?
It's like they definitely
Who
went
is
a little
Morgan?
bit more off. That's what I'm saying. It's like, centimorgan.
But yeah, that was a pretty wild scene. How they're so committed to keeping things the same, but you can see how this brother Day, he's trying to make things, he's trying to be more of an individual.
Mm-hmm.
But
and
then
they have a dinner. We're going more of the B plot here now, with the Empress, they're having their first dinner. Sorry if I'm like now rushing through.
Not very much.
Will you join us for ice running as well, Brother Day?
Steel blades on combustible ice at high speeds.
We'll leave that.
Girl, you must be crazy.
you child? What do you think we are?
These knees? Yeah.
Right, yeah. He's like, these knees? What are you talking about? Like, you really think?
Yeah, it was a pretty cool scene. Like, you know, she's sort of flirting with Brother Dawn, but also appealing to Brother Day's
There
like
was a little flirtation, right?
a little bit. Like, but she's playing the whole room.
Yeah.
She's kind of has the whole room wrapped around her finger.
Playing. Her ethically ambiguous ass is probably turns out that she's Zimbabwean too.
Right.
I'm like, fuck.
Right.
I got
a choice to make. Yeah.
between
good problems to have.
Good problems. Yeah, like this is like I get more representation than because Thandie Newton is also Zimbabwean.
Yeah. I didn't realize that until recently when like she was talking about her real name. I can't really remember, but her.
It's usually all the Nigerians get that shit, but like lately, Zimbabwe has been picking up. Love it.
Zimbabwe is hot right now.
Zimbabwe. Yeah, hey, listen. Zimbabwe's kind of hot right now. I don't know if you noticed, but we've been kind of blowing up. Might catch us on YouTube one of these times. Who knows? LeBeau? Hit me up, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
That the servants feed you like infants.
Oh, please. Astrid, come and hoist this quail and shove it into my mouth.
Yeah, well, it must be nice to have some surety of succession. If you marry me and rely on biology, you'll lose that.
With
multiple children, we'll have a different kind of surety. So, like, again, he's breaking out of that. And this is like the biggest break.
Yeah. It's kind of huge that he's deciding to do this.
Huge, dude. And what she asks at this dinner is to see the other clones.
Right.
Like in their tanks. And
then sorry, just to say, like, one of the things I thought that is interesting that she brought up during like their tour of the tanks was just like, it was like, oh, so you assume I'm gonna let you have sex with me. Like at some point,
yeah.
So that's what you're assuming, right? It kind of reminded me of like I saw Oppenheimer. Game of Thrones for sure, but I saw Oppenheimer. I don't know. There's just one point where he gets offered a job and he's just very arrogantly like, "Yeah, I'm considering it." It's just like it's kind of the same situation where she's like, "Yeah, I'm considering you letting me be the queen of the universe."
Right. Yeah.
Because she's just very smart. Yeah, I can see.
Right. The Game of Thrones part was just like, when he was like, well, if we do have sex, in the old days we wanted to fuck in front of everybody. Like if there's a wedding, there's a bedding. Like
that's right.
Like everyone has to watch us consummate, or else we never did. So I was just like, okay.
Yeah, that was It's like, but I'm trying to do things civilized. I just want to have sex with you in my own private space.
And right. And this is a thing that I saw, thought that was interesting, is that this
Unquoted.
Right here.
I only see Cleons. Are the demoiselles kept separate? I assume that's how she stays the same age.
She has separate arrangements, yes. You can see my memories are
and you can see like it's squished because we're watching it from the perspective of the tank. Like
right.
He's through water right here. But also what is interesting is that the rest of the Trantor, the Empire, does not actually know that he has. It's like an open secret that he has an android. He has the last android or whatever.
Right.
So that's why
Yeah.
she's kind of like asking about that, because she doesn't want to come out and just say it. He just wants
Right.
to say like, yeah, she just kind of has like the same arrangement that we do, and fuck
Yeah,
off.
she's
with that.
brazen, but she's not willing to go quite that far. It's like,
Quite
I'm
far to be like,
assuming that you
did
have a clone
you?
situation for her as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, did you when we all like murdered the robots? Not just like you, but like we all did. Did you keep
did
one?
you do that too?
Yeah. Do you have one though? And yeah, it's really interesting that they actually went that far, or like
Yeah.
as much of information that he's willing to give her, like put her in the throne room or whatever, he's not willing to date that.
Yeah, there's still limits to his vulnerability. Yeah.
Right.
Scientists are efficient.
Always. In fact, I have good news. I'm told there's little risk of genetic disorder in our offspring.
You tested me. How?
Your drinking glass at dinner.
I would have spat for your scientists and eliminated a step.
And she's like, yeah, no, I'm good with that. I'm good with all that. I don't know. This was like really good B plot. I feel like, I'm sorry, I'm not talking in the microphone right now. But I feel like the B plot of this was really good in the manner of introducing another character, because it needed that.
Yeah.
And they did that last season too, where I was like, okay, what's this going on? But then if you introduce the flower girl or whatever, then it's like, yeah, there's a deviation. And the deviations that are also coming with this is that the android is starting to catch feelings.
Yeah. And
he's kind of in love with the clone.
Yeah, and she's one of the few, even though all these Cleons have changed, she is still the same. She's still going on her like sort of emotional journey, from like even from the first season where she sort of had this emotional awakening, where she's on the religious planet. I forget what the name of it was. Oops.
Oh my god! Is that what Amber Alerts sound like in LA? Or what
that's that's the red alert from Star Trek. But it's my alarm for my phone.
Okay.
But yeah, like even with her, like having her emotional awakening in the last season, where she's like, the character is like, that she met on the religious planet, was saying, oh, you have way more of a soul than the person that you serve. So I think that now in this romantic sense is just another extension of that growth for her. It's like, now how is this gonna conflict with this new bride that
exactly
that Dawn is trying to, or the Day is trying to acquire?
Exactly. You know what? I'm gonna cut this short.
Let's do it, man.
It's 3 hours.
Yeah. This is going on for a while. Yeah.
We're good. I got my family back here, and it has been fucking great talking to you about the show.
Same, bro.
And what we'll do next time, and it would mean the world if anyone like comments like, oh yeah, make sure you finish the rest of this episode and then continue on with episode 3. That would mean the world. Let us know and we'll talk about that. But we'll pick things back up and kind of give a brief synopsis of the rest of episode 2, season 2, episode 2, when we cover season 2, episode 3. And that will be a lot shorter of the cast.
Yeah, because it's only one episode to cover in that.
We got a lot of content here for you guys to watch. I know you guys have been dipping in and out, and it's been fun. And all I have to say now is, Alex, now that we are not on the the city planet of 9 Nerd Yards. What is there anything that you would like to promote with?
Yeah, just was you guys can check us out on the Drunk Panthers channel, where we talk about sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and all the popular art that we love. Also, we do it drunk. And we got a new review of The Idol out, podcast where we're talking about Righteous Gemstones and The Warrior, both Max original series, and we got Does It Hold Up, which comes out every other Monday at 4:20 a.m. Next episode, we're actually talking to Noah Lance about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, and on our last episode we talked to the nine Nerd Yards, Blake and Jeff from 9 Nerd Yards, about TMNT 2. So guys, check out those episodes.
Absolutely blowing smoke on my window right now. And yeah, this has been the RAMXES cast. This has been
the RAMXES cast.
This has been the Gal Pals.
The Gal Pal Pod.
The Gal Pal podcast, and we will be seeing you very soon. Probably, I don't know, maybe next Saturday. You'll see us when you see us, but thank you so much for joining us. And
really appreciate it.
If you are watching this on the replay and you've watched the whole 3 hours to this point, comment below and I will send you some merch. We have a new merch line up right now. And this is the first time I'm announcing it. It's not perfect right now, but if you go maybe even below this video, you might see that there's a link to the store below. And if you comment, "Oh, I watched it all the way to the end," then I will send you a piece of merch from there. And not the cheap, not any of the cheap shit either. I will send you some good shit. So yeah, hit me up. It's 9 Nerd Yards, joined by Alex from Drunk Panthers. Thank you very much, Alex. And
of course,
we will see you on the next time. Peace.
See you guys next time.